Tiverton School Committee to order. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have anyone signed up for open forum this evening? No, thank you. All right, we'll start off with the consent agenda. On tonight's consent agenda, we have school committee meeting minutes from January 13th, January 27th, both regular and executive session, our budget workshop meeting from January 31st, and our regular school committee meeting from February 10th. We also have our January enrollment report, as well as a homeschool request for the 2025-26 school year. Does anyone want to pull anything off?
I do. Could I pull off 3A4, 3B, and 3C?
3A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the budget workshop?
Yes.
And B and C. Okay, so may I have a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda, except for 3A, 4, B, and C?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Kim, floor is yours.
Okay, 3A4, it's item 3, and it mentions the budget does not represent a reading specialist at the high school level, high school, middle school, media specialist. It doesn't mention the math specialist that we don't have at the high school that Mr. Haskins talked about.
My comments were based on the previous year staffing model. If there was a mathematics specialist at the high school for the previous year, then I was unaware, and that was a mistake.
No, there wasn't. I'm just saying that was left off. You had gone over the positions that were not, we were not going to fill from last year.
So are you saying there's something missing that was said at the meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So then perhaps what we can do is just go back. Do you disagree?
I don't think there was a math special. Maybe 2 years ago?
No, there wasn't.
No.
Okay, because that was
Yeah.
mentioned at a meeting, that we didn't have
No.
a math specialist, a reading
No,
specialist.
the elementary schools got consolidated. I know that, but not the high school. Yeah, there used to be 2 math specialists, I believe 2 reading specialists over the last 2 years, but
There's
At the
a
elementary
math
schools.
specialist at each elementary schools,
Yeah.
one at the middle school and none at the high school.
Yeah.
And there has never been one at the high school.
yeah, so I think that's correct, maybe, the minute. I don't have the minutes in front of me, but
Okay.
Are you okay with that, or do we need to go back and watch?
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right, you also wanted the enrollment report?
I was just looking at the numbers, and so we lost 17 students, but we gained 10 once again from December. This seems like the magic number is 17. Is that?
I see that there are 11 fewer students compared to December, 2 fewer at the Ranger School, 3 greater at Pawtucket, 5 fewer at Tiverton High School, and 7 fewer at Tiverton Middle School, for a net loss of 11 students compared to the December report.
Okay, and then we've got 17 in January. Okay. And the homeschool requests, have all the last year's homeschool requests been approved? The continuing from last year?
We have 4 homeschool requests for you this evening.
But are all the ones that were homeschooling last year, have they all signed for reapproval?
Yes, all of the ones that issued a letter of intent have been brought forward to the school committee for approval.
Okay, so anything coming new will be a new student that's homeschooling?
I think that's indicated on your sheet there.
Okay. And then we've got 93 homeschool students, and then when we look at the spreadsheet, it says 89.
That's because you're approving those tonight. So that will be updated on the next
Okay.
enrollment.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the remaining portions of the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, next we have chairperson's remarks. And I'll just, if you don't mind indulging me for a moment, I just wanted to acknowledge the tragic event that took place on February 16th when the gunman opened fire during the high school hockey game at the Lynch Arena in Pawtucket. 4 people, including the gunman, were killed, and 2 others were seriously injured. While we're grateful that no additional spectators or players were physically harmed, a family was destroyed, and many bystanders were deeply traumatized. We've also heard moving accounts of courage and heroism by first responders and members of the public on that day. To the best of my knowledge, none of our students were present. However, given the close-knit nature of our hockey community, it's likely that some in our community know someone who was affected. We strive every day to provide safe environments for our students, but events like this remind us that violence can occur anywhere. The best we can do is remain vigilant and, above all, be kind to one another. I'm not here to offer opinions or debate policy. My remarks are offered solely for reflection and condolence. I now ask you to join me in a moment of silence to honor all those who were impacted by this tragedy. Thank you. Move on to the superintendent's update. Mr. Haskins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a few new appointments to the Tiverton School Department. Lindsay Rhodes, .4 school nurse teacher at Tiverton Middle School. Kelly LaBerge, secretary at Pawtucket Elementary School. And Heidi Sylvia, part-time teacher assistant kindergarten at the Ranger School. So we thank these employees for their service to the school. All of them have worked in the Tiverton School Department for some time and now in different positions. I want to sincerely thank our municipal partners, including Town Administrator Jones, Police Chief Costa, Fire Chief Ferreira, and members of the Police and Fire Department, and most especially the Department of Public Works, including Director Dave Sylvia and all of the members of his department for all of the hard work and countless hours that they put in clearing the streets and school lots during this most recent historic storm. It was truly an around-the-clock effort. I appreciate my partnership with the directors who kept me informed every day during the week last week. The Department of Public Works provided great assistance to the school department in clearing our lots. I also want to sincerely thank our school department staff, including Facilities Director Mendes, who led the effort to clear our schools beginning on Monday. All of our custodial staff who deserve our thanks and recognition, but I want to especially call out Kevin Vandenberg, Director Mendes, who worked every day last week to clear us, and Joe Billio and Rich Carrera, who were able to get here Tuesday through Friday, who spent a lot of time shoveling and clearing out our sidewalks, entrances, and lots. All of our custodial staff deserve our thanks and gratitude for the countless hours they put in last week, helping our schools to open for resuming school service this week.
They have our gratitude as well.
Mr. Haskins, Heidi Sylvia in the kindergarten, is that because someone left?
That's correct.
Okay.
Kelly LaBerge is serving as the secretary at Pawtucket School, vacated the position of part-time teacher assistant, so Heidi Sylvia was recalled to the position.
Oh, great, that's
And
great.
thankfully accepted.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All righty. Thank you very much, Mr. Haskins.
You're welcome.
All right, policy updates. We have policy number 373, Athletic and Student Activity Funds Management Policy. This is up for second read this evening, and it would be time for a vote. The one thing I am now noticing that I did not notice earlier is that we will also have to take a separate vote to remove the old policies, and it should have been on the agenda. So I'll ask that that get added to the next agenda so that we can complete this action. But for tonight, I will ask for a motion to approve policy 373, Athletic and Student Activity Funds Management.
Could I make a motion for discussion?
You can make a motion, yep. Do I have a second?
Second.
And is there discussion?
Okay, the last sentence, it says that the fund shall be reconciled regularly, and we had decided last time that was going to say quarterly, so somehow it got changed.
Where are you, Kim? You said the last
The
sentence?
first page, the last.
Oh, first page of the
Yep,
last
first page,
sentence. Sorry,
last
I was on
line.
the third page.
It says the fund will be reconciled regularly. It said quarterly, the last read, and it got changed. Because we wanted to pretty much quantify.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
And then under verification and reconciliation, the first read said the treasurer was going to handle the bank statements and reconcile monthly, and now the treasurer's been removed. The word treasurer has been removed.
Where's, they're on page 2, you said?
Yes, verification and reconciliation.
No, number 4, okay.
Yeah, the last.
So the first one says what treasurer, and then the second bullet says bank statement shall be reconciled?
Monthly.
Correct, yep.
But before that, it said the treasurer will reconcile monthly. So the treasurer was removed from that line.
Oh, okay. I can add that if the committee prefers.
Does it matter
Uh,
who was tasked with the reconciliation?
It's a policy. It was there before.
Okay.
Whatever the community.
Well, we have the other item too, so after this discussion, I don't think we're going to be able to take a vote. Is there anything else?
Yes, under audit and oversight, the last sentence, it says the building principal or designee shall conduct periodic spot checks of cash handling and record-keeping practices. It said prior was semi-annual in the first read. Instead of periodic, we quantified that to say semi-annual.
I could go either way on that one, but whatever you guys prefer.
So there was a change from the first read to the second read, and was that in keeping as we had instructed or no?
No, we had talked about quantifying
Okay.
the words periodic and regularly.
Why don't we go back? I believe we're going to have a policy subcommittee meeting next week.
Okay.
So can we please put that on the agenda for a complete review at that policy meeting and then bring it back to this body for second read once again? Okay?
Yeah, I'll check my file versus the school committee document here.
Okay. Since we had a motion on the table, would you please rescind your motion?
I'd like to rescind that motion.
And
Second.
you rescind your second.
Rescind my second.
All right, thank you. And we will take this up at our next meeting. All right, general business. I have been asked to move up item C to the top of the list this evening. If I could have a motion to move that up.
I'll make that motion to move that. Item C.
Second.
And all in favor? Okay, so the Tiverton High School Program of Studies will be first up this evening. And this way our administrators can get over to that basketball game.
Thank you so much for making the adjustment. I have with me tonight Nikki McGuire. Ms. McGuire is an amazing Director of Guidance, and she's really led me through this process. Not every school does the program of studies the same way, but we did quite the lengthy review, and I would ask if Nikki would share with us the changes.
Sure, will do. Okay, so I'll go page by page if you like.
All 97 pages?
I did a small
A summary.
summary of each page that has changes.
I would like a summary.
Appreciate that very much.
You want me to indulge? Okay, I'll go quickly. On page 8, the principal's address is now Dr. Keogh's address. On page 39, a lot of this is name changes. For instance, Intro to Computing and AI, that was Mrs. Moore's former Intro to Data Science. That is articulated with URI, and it is 4 credits are available through URI once you successfully pass that course. On page 41, that is articulated again with 4 credits for her cybersecurity as well. On page 43, CNA 1 and 2, students must now take and pass the exam. On page 44, plant science landscaping and groundskeeping is now called environmental sustainability and landscaping. On page 45, greenhouse operations and management, there's some new narrative here for a course description. On page 46, advanced greenhouse landscaping and groundskeeping now requires an internship, so our work-based learning is taking off. Students will have the opportunity also with that class to earn 4 credits through CCRI and OSHA 10 certification. They will complete a capstone project design implementing sustainability landscaping. On page 51, Intro to Computer and Data Science is the name change once again. That's articulated throughout the document. It's under the CTE program, and then it's under each department where we list their courses. We have 2 new art courses on page 59. Graphic Arts is now a 2.5 credit course, and they've added Art Lab, which is also a 2.5 credit course. In the music department, they've added an honors level strings orchestra, which is full-time, and students must participate in All-State. For the English department, starting on page 74, they are eliminating world mythologies and podcasting, and they are adding honors journalism and social media content. They're just adding that to it, part 1 and part 2. On page 76, they are also adding a class called Goodreads, and it's focusing on different literary genres. In the math department, the one addition is Foundations of Algebra, and that will be an offering for all 9th graders who have a math average of 65 or below, or who have a STAR score of 6th grade or below. On page 82, we have updated narrative on the course pathway structure. In science, the prerequisite for honors chemistry is the successful completion of summer work. Ms. Coos has reiterated that throughout her science classes. They will continue to have summer work with the due dates and explanations. On page 85, that's the honors principle, is also included in that. On page 86, oceanography and the environment is now part of environmental sustainability and landscaping CTE program. On page 90, greenhouse operations and management has new narrative required for the CTE program. On page 91, advanced greenhouse landscaping and groundskeeping management has new narrative, and it's the same as page 46. It's just reiterated again, like I said. On page 93, CNA 1 and 2, they have to take the exam. We list that once again. On page 90, that's also listed on pages 43 and 44. For the Social Studies Department, on page 103, they have added 2 new classes, History Through Film, Exploring the Past on Screen, and the United States at War, A Military History. And then they have eliminated from Gutenberg to Google. And the 1 new class for the Special Education Department is on page 105. This new course is called College and Career Readiness Support. And those are our changes.
May I get a motion to approve the Tiverton High School program of studies for 2026 to 2027?
Motion to approve the program of studies.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion or questions?
Just a comment. I was going through this, and when I look at it, program of studies, I'm thinking it's just studies, program of studies. It seems like there's a lot of stuff in here that would go in the student handbook. It's just my opinion. Like the portrait of a graduate.
I think there is a lot of redundancy. We use that, and they mirror each other quite well. So a lot of duplicate information in both books,
Okay.
I think, anyway.
I would agree with that. The portrait of a graduate is really kind of an overarching theme of the school.
Agreed. Are you all set, Kim?
Yes.
Okay. Jocelyn, do you have any questions?
I'm good, thank you.
I just wanted to ask you very quickly, while you're here, just tell us a little bit about the process that went into these changes, because you have very finely detailed course descriptions on new classes. What brought you to that point? Is it the two of you?
It's a lengthy process. Actually, we meet with the department chairs regularly, and so what we do is we send out a copy of the program of studies and ask that they work within their departments to make recommendations for any possible changes. And those then come to me and Nikki, and we discuss this together so that I can get the history of, why we may have done what we do and or may not have. And then once that is all kind of synthesized, we create the document with the red strike-throughs and adjustments.
Okay. And
Takes
you don't just,
quite a bit of time.
it is, I imagine so, and that's what I was trying to call out, that this clearly wasn't something you just put together on the fly.
No.
It's very clear that it's been well thought through, and just having sat here for as many years as I have and gone through many of these books, it continues to evolve. And I won't even dare to go back to when I was in high school, what it must have looked like, because it probably only was like 4 pages long. But no, thank you very much for a job well done. Are there any other questions?
I just noticed on page 63, the string orchestra class, it says that a student is enrolled at Tiverton High School. Are you still taking homeschooled students that could come in and take that class too?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they can take an elective, and we encourage them and would love them to.
Okay, yeah, because it said enrolled at Tiverton High School. I wouldn't want somebody to think
Well, I think
that.
for the purposes, would I be correct in saying that for the purposes of the program of studies, that a child who's taking an elective is enrolled
Yeah.
at the high school for that class?
Correct.
Okay, anything else?
That's
All
it.
right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor? It is approved, thank you very much.
Thank
Go to
you
the
so much.
basketball game, good, go
Yes.
girls.
Thank you. Go girls.
All righty. So we will go back to the top of our agenda. Discussion and possible vote, FY '27 Health Benefits Advisor Proposal. Mr. Andrade?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I present to you tonight, Bob is a principal advisor at Legacy Benefit Advisors. We've been working with Health Benefit Advisors and Legacy. Bob and Keith have worked together for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Rhode Island for over 20 years. A little fun fact, Bob used to live in Tiverton, lived here from 56 to 70. His dad was electrical inspector for the town, and his mother was a lunch lady at the high school. So we're pleased to have Bob here tonight, presenting to you a telemedicine overview of how to contain cost and all kinds of other information that's
Thank you. So
benefit.
I do have a little history in the town,
Yes.
and if I can do anything at all to help, that'll be great. Although I didn't go to Tiverton School.
Thank
I went
you.
to Holy Ghost School. I think I was the last class to graduate Holy Ghost School. So Keith Dempsey is my business partner when it comes to telemedicine. His company is called Health Benefit Advisors. Can I move this out of the way? But you can't see it if I'm saying. Okay. So Keith's company is Health Benefit Advisors. I'm Legacy Benefit Advisors. We do a lot of different things. But when it comes to telemedicine, we decided to partner on this about 7 years ago. And I'll tell you how it happened. Coventry Schools had an interest in telemedicine. Keith and I didn't know much about it. We went into the marketplace, thought it was a pretty fascinating area. We scoped out the marketplace, put out RFPs, and finally came down to one company that we thought was better than all the rest, called Call a Doctor Plus. So we put together a bid for the town of Coventry. The Coventry School Department. I believe that was 6 years ago, and we won the bid. We put it in. It worked out very, very well. Shortly after, the Cranston School Department was interested, Pawtucket Schools. So now we have put it in at 5 school departments in Rhode Island, including Coventry, Cranston, Pawtucket, Lincoln, and North Providence. We've put it in at 2 cities, Pawtucket and Cranston, and 1 town, Smithfield, and we're in discussions with a number of others right now. So the concept behind telemedicine is that we all realize that there's a fair amount of waste in the system. And it's in a lot of different areas, but one of them is in the area of people needing some level of care, but they probably don't need to go into a doctor's office to get that care. And I'm going to jump ahead, then I'll back up again. So what we're talking about here is the easy stuff. So if somebody has a rash that they're trying to identify, a cough, pink eye, bronchitis, flu, cold. This is not for somebody who's experiencing chest pain. It's not what it's about. If somebody's bleeding, it's not what it's about. But it's about the easy stuff. So everybody in your office has got pink eye, and you walk in one morning and your eyes are pink. You probably have pink eye. So you probably need the antibiotic for pink eye, and you're going to be fine. So there's probably not a reason why you have to go into the doctor's office to get that care. And going into the doctor's office is much, much more expensive than going anyplace else. In fact, the AMA says that 78% of office visits, and that might be a PCP, a specialist, urgent care, ER visits, 78% of those visits could have been handled over the phone by a physician. And the average saving when you can eliminate an office visit and bring these people over to a telephone call, the average savings is $465 each time you can do that. So it can add up to some serious savings pretty quickly. The company that we like, it's Call a Doctor Plus. That's the company, and the underlying network of providers is provided by Teladoc. Okay, so there's kind of 2 components that overlap each other. 92% of the people that call in say that their issue was resolved over the phone. The satisfaction rate is 95%, so it really does work. It's an impressive program. And what I find interesting is that I've had a PCP for the last 5 years, and I've never met my PCP. And I've been in the office at least 7 or 8 times. Whenever I go in the office, my PCP is busy, and I talk to a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant. And what's pretty interesting is that this program, you will get a call back from a board-certified licensed physician. I find that interesting. So I can talk to a doctor over the phone, but I can't manage to see one in person. So the programs tend to work very, very well. The way it works is the school department would provide a file to Call a Doctor Plus, and the file would include the names and addresses of all the employees at the school department. What happens then is, if I'm an employee of the school department, my responsibility would be to call Teladoc, tell them who I am, tell them who's on the plan with me, my wife, my 2 daughters, give all their names. So now I've provided some basic data. I've registered with Teladoc. It's even better if I give them some health information while I'm on the phone. So I tell them I take a couple of different meds for high blood pressure. Other than that, I'm fairly healthy. My wife would provide her health information. If we had children under the age of 18, we would provide their health information. And the idea is that, so they have a basic file on me and what my health is. This is all HIPAA compliant. We always get questions about that. HIPAA compliant, so this data is not shared with anybody else. So the reason why they want this data is when I'm really sick with the flu or COVID or something, and I call in and I'm talking to a doctor, the doctor's going to pull up my file and say, Mr. Dumais, I see you're still taking hydrochlorothiazide and a couple of other meds, and I would say, yes, you have no allergic reactions. So the doctor has some basic history to start with, so when I'm feeling really, really lousy, I'm not stuck on the phone providing a lot of history to the doctor. The doctor's already got the history, so he'll listen to me, and in some cases provide a prescription, in other cases not, but it's on an as-needed basis. So the part that's not on this slide is the registration process, which each person does in advance. If you don't do it in advance, when you're really feeling lousy and you need to use the telemedicine service, and you make the call, that first call is going to be a little longer because they don't have any history on you, okay? So ideally, you give them some information up front, so it cuts some of that history time. When you make the call, a couple of ways you can do it. You can go online, you can use the app, you can phone call, whatever's most convenient. You can ask for an appointment. You can ask, I'd like to have a doctor call me back today at 2 o'clock. Or you can do it on demand. You can say, I'm really feeling lousy, I'd like to talk to a doctor. They'll take down your phone number and they'll call you back, typically within 10 minutes. When we first started to put these programs in, they were running about 20 minutes, but we've put so many in Rhode Island, they bumped up the physician network, so now the callbacks are coming typically within 10 minutes. So when the doctor calls you back, you can do a video call if you would like, or you can just do it over the phone. There's other telemedicine programs out there where you have to do a video call, otherwise they could not prescribe medication. So this one here does not require a video call, which is great. The program works 24/7, 365. There is never downtime. It works on the weekends. It works at night when your physician's office may typically not be open. It works from anywhere in the country. So I was just saying a little while ago, so I was stuck in South Carolina last week. A 3-day family trip turned into 7 days because I couldn't get back. And like a responsible adult, I packed 4 days worth of medicine because I was going to be there for 3 days, have a little margin. Well, I needed medicine and I ran out and I called my doctor's office and I could not get my doctor to call in a prescription into South Carolina. I called Walmart, which fills all my prescriptions. They could not seem to get the message across to the Walmart right across the street from where I was staying, so I couldn't get my meds. So if I had this telemedicine program, I could simply call, a doctor would call me back, and they would ask me where I am. And I would say, I'm in South Carolina, because now I want to call back from a doctor who's board certified licensed in South Carolina. And then that doctor could call in to the pharmacy, like a 3-day supply of medications, so I could get my meds. And there wasn't any way that I could work that out with the current situation. So in that case, it was a pleasure trip that went longer, but you might be out of town on vacation, you might be away on business or something, and it's really, really convenient when you're not feeling well and you can make this work. So the idea behind this is you need to get everybody to embrace the program. You folks need to embrace it. All of your employees need to embrace it. So in every case where we've put it in, I've reached out to the unions that were in place at that municipality, teachers unions, it might be AFSCME, it might be RIFT. So you folks are with NEA. So we have very strong relationships with RIFT and NEA and AFSCME and all the unions. So we typically get them involved right up front because we want them to embrace it. If they don't embrace it and they don't try to use it, then there's no point putting it in because you're going to pay a fee to have it, and it's not going to work. I brought a few different pieces here. So the company puts out monthly reports. And the reports are very robust. This is one school department. I've redacted the name on there. This is a second, this is a third. They're different sizes. One of them is a very large school department. The second two are a little smaller. So these reports come out every month. And what Keith and I do, we take the reports, we take a look at them, and we'll typically add some comments and send them out. So every month, you're going to get a report that's going to show you how well this is working. If it's not working well, if you're not getting a lot of calls that are coming in, then we're going to talk to you and say, we got to do something better here. We got to get in front of your employees and explain to them how it works. This doesn't take anything away, okay? This is running parallel to your Blue Cross coverage. They do not cross, they do not impact each other at all. So your Blue Cross program actually has a telemedicine component, or it should have one, unless you've turned it off. But the problem with the one that they offer is, when you make the call, you are charged a copay, just as if it was a doctor's office visit. With this here, there is no copayment. With the Blue Cross program, you will be directed to call your primary care doctor. So for you folks paying the claims ultimately, you will be paying those claims to the primary care doctor. They're all built into your rates, your rate calculations every year. The Blue Cross program, it can only work in Rhode Island because your PCP can't write prescriptions out of state. And I think one of those groups I just sent around, there's a chart at the end that shows where the people were located when they called in. I think one of them, people were in like 10 different states when they made their call. So it shows you that it's very effective all over the place. So the company Call a Doctor Plus also has a lot of I don't know what did I do with it? Oh, they have a lot of things that they'll provide also. They have stuff like this that they'll pass out. They'll put up posters, they'll put up bulletin boards. We want people to use this. It's kind of like you get an oil change on your car and you spend the money to do that because it's a lot cheaper than putting a new motor in your car, right? So the idea behind this is we want everybody to embrace this program, and ideally it'll save a lot of money in the long run. You know, when my daughters were young and they were sick, we'd take them to the primary care doctor, the pediatrician's office, and I can recall being in there saying, don't touch anything. There's toys in here, don't touch them. Because the other kids in here are probably sicker than you, and we're going to go home even sicker than when you came in here. With this here, you can eliminate a lot of those visits. Now, some of them you're going to have to go in, but a lot of them can be eliminated. And if one of your teachers has to take a child to an appointment, then they're calling in sick, you've got to get somebody to fill in for the day. If you can handle it over the phone, you may not need to fill in a teacher for the day. This is just a sample of some of the data included in the reports. Is that a little blurry, or is that me? My business partner, Keith, he was an underwriter at Blue Cross. I was the director of labor affairs. So he's put this together. So we started putting telemedicine out there in 2019. And as we've added more groups, he's showing the total number of covered employees. I guess we're over 4,000 right now, a couple of thousand visits, and the savings really significant. And again, I'm pretty well tied with Blue Cross after working there for 20 years. I know they're giving out some significant rate increases this year. They filed for 26% rate increases. I think the DBR pushed it down to 22. I don't know where you folks are going to come in. And this is not going to solve a 20% rate increase, but it might help reduce it a little bit. This is really, in my opinion, one of the only win-win opportunities out there. If you start making benefit changes, you'd be reducing benefits. That's going to negatively impact your employees. If you end up increasing their contributions, again, it's passing the cost from the school department onto the employees. Telemedicine is one of the only things you can do where everybody wins. There are no losers with telemedicine, because we're not taking anything away. We're adding this and we're putting it alongside of what you have. So the way this works is you folks would pay a capitated fee every month, and it's $7.75 per employee. So if you send in a list of 500 employees, your monthly cost will be 500 times $7.75. What happens the end of the year, we're going to look at the number of calls that came in. There might be an increase in this cost, maybe not. But the idea is the more this is used, the less they're using face-to-face office visits. You can enhance this program. You can put a mental health rider on there. That would increase the cost to $11.25. So far, a lot of the groups that we've put this in are looking at this. Nobody has added the mental health rider yet. But I'm told that it works very, very well. I'm not big on experimenting with new things. I like to know that things work before I'll put my name on it. So that's pretty much it for the slides here. Any questions? Lots of questions.
Yes.
Jocelyn, go ahead, you go first.
Okay, so you did answer one of them, that this is supplemental to what our employees already have. So it's not replacing, it's supplemental. But the idea is that for some of those easy things that might not need an office visit, if more people utilize that, our claims will go down, maybe balancing the cost or giving us cost savings.
Yeah, cost containment.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. And you just answered my other question, that this is for general medicine and not necessarily mental health. We could add that on. So when you say $7.75 per employee, that covers both the employee and one plus one?
No, it covers the employee and all of their family.
Okay,
So if it's a husband and wife and
Yep.
2 or 3 kids, they're all on the program. Everybody's on.
okay. And I forgot one of my other questions, so I'm going to pass it along, and it's going to come back to me, so.
So again, it would start with the school department giving a file to Teladoc, and then the next step is each person, each employee should call in. If I was an employee here, I would call in. I'm Robert Dumais, my wife is Mona, my daughters Ashley and Tyler. They are all over 18, so they would come off the program because they're over the age limit. But if they were younger than 18, I would provide medical data for my kids, and myself, my wife would provide her own medical data. But everybody in the family is covered.
And there's no copay?
Right,
Okay. Thank you.
sure.
Kim, do you have anything? Okay. Sure, sure. I know you, at the beginning of your presentation, you listed 5 school departments that you're currently contracting with.
Yes.
I caught Coventry, Pawtucket, Cranston.
Coventry,
North Smithfield.
Cranston, Pawtucket,
I have
Lincoln,
Lincoln.
and North Providence. And it's interesting, in a couple of cases, at the beginning, they were initiated by the school department, Coventry, Cranston schools. It was a school department that contacted us. The next one we took on was Lincoln, Lincoln, it was the union that contacted us. They asked us to come in and do a presentation for the school committee, and they ended up moving forward. But that was initiated by the union instead. So it's kind of been going each way now. There really isn't any one way that it gets started. Yeah, we're seeing utilization going up every year. Somebody tries it and said, wow, this worked pretty well, and now they tell their peers, and the first thing you know, other people are trying it. It doesn't start up right out of the box with a ton of people calling. You know, we're trying to change habits here. We're trying to tell people that this is a new option, can save you some money. You might get an immediate answer to a health problem instead of having to wait several days to get into your primary care doctor or get a call back.
Well, just like with anything, right? It's, people will embrace it as they see their friends and neighbors embracing it.
Right.
Change is difficult for some. I will very quickly just mention, I had a family member just share a story with me last weekend about telehealth and how easy it was to quickly get a prescription for a very small problem, but a problem that could have grown into something much bigger had this person not been able to just have the doctor, yep, you're right, that's what the problem is, I'll call you the script, all set.
You know, take something simple like poison ivy. You got a really bad case of poison ivy. You know it's poison ivy. You call your doctor, you can't get in for a few days. You're going to go to urgent care. Urgent care is not an inexpensive option, and so you're going to make the copayment, and the rest of that bill comes back to the school department. It's all built back into your rates.
Now, for quality assurance, do you solicit any feedback from your customers? How does that work?
So
for you guys?
the feedback, that's a great question, and the feedback really is coming in. If you look at those reports I just passed around, they will ask everyone at the end of the call, please rate the service. And typically it's 90% or more rating it as good or excellent. On occasion, we might get one person that might say the service wasn't good, but that's really not the norm. So what I passed out there, so what happens when you begin the new year, every year starts fresh. So what I passed around there are the December reports for 3 school districts. So you got 12 months worth of data there. So when you look at the end and you look at the rating, that's 12 months worth of ratings. And we don't play with those reports at all. That's exactly how they come to us from Teledoc. When we mail them out, the January reports were a little bit late. I just sent out some of them this morning. I'll add some of my comments, some of my feedbacks, some ways I think we could make it better, increase utilization. Where we've done it, like in Coventry, for example, Coventry had 7 schools. We had somebody from Call a Doc visit all 7 schools. And they sat there for the better part of a day answering questions. People came by, they got people registered. And that's typically how the company does it. They'll send people out to every school, answer any questions, let people know that it is HIPAA compliant. This information is not shared with your school department. It's not shared with Blue Cross. It is totally independent. They're running parallel.
Those are the only questions I have for you at this time, Michael.
Okay, so this $7.75, that is, everybody has to accept the plan, right? And then the employees are paying the $7.75?
That's really your call. If you say this is going to be offered to the teachers only, that's your call. When you send a data file in, just include the teachers' names. If you want to include all of your staff, then that's the file you're going to send in. You're going to send in contact information for all of the staff. But that's your call, who you want to include.
Yeah. My idea is everyone that is enrolled in our medical. So if a teacher is not, or a non-certified staff is not enrolled in our medical, they would not be part of this.
Okay, and you're paying it, and they can opt out.
You just want to utilize the service.
Okay.
There's no
Yeah, I'm
opt-out, yeah. Correct. It's school departments covering. That's why we're covering this. It would be part of the FY '27 budget if you move forward.
Okay, because I'm thinking some people may not want to use it,
Yeah, that they just wouldn't call in to use
like a
it.
new parent, they might want to take their child to the doctors, or if
Yeah,
you've
you-
got the flu, or you think you've got the flu, how are they testing you to find out if you have the flu?
Well, I can tell you, so I've used telemedicine in the past and prior employer. There was a time I called in and they told me to go to urgent care. So that does occur as well. I think it might have been for strep. They couldn't test me for strep on the phone,
Or
but
the
yeah.
flu, or,
But also you could just go to urgent care. You don't need to call either. It's your choice. Yeah. Just the advantage is this gives you no copay, so it doesn't hurt to call or cost anything, where urgent care, there is a copay. Or your primary, but.
and children are covered, well, dependents are covered until they're 18?
Yeah, you know what, so Keith put this quote together. I will verify that. I believe it is to 18. That's the norm. You can extend it to something later. I don't think that was done in this case, but I do want to verify that.
Yeah, my understanding is if they're a dependent on Blue Cross Blue Shield, they would be a dependent on here, I think. but-
Which they would be until they turn 26,
Correct.
or they could be.
They could be, depending on what they're doing. If they
But
decide to
you are
get a-
saying for this component would just be till they're 18?
I will verify that. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I think you mentioned a minute ago about somebody who is not on your health coverage. So pretty much all the municipalities, they offer people some kind of a buyout if you don't take the coverage. You know, you don't have to ultimately tell me who's on the list. You're gonna submit the list, it's gonna have 300 names on there. Whether you're including the people that buy out or not, that's your decision. I don't think other municipalities are carving out people that are taking the buyout. And I think they're doing that because they're still hoping to take advantage of the fact that if somebody can get a quicker answer to a health condition, and maybe they don't have to call in sick that day, I think the school department is still thinking that's a win. So it still may be worth, you know, the $7 a month to avoid having to get a substitute in for the day. But that's your call, who you want to put on the list.
Is your company regulated in any way?
My company, Legacy Benefit Advisors, I am a Rhode Island corporation. I'm a sub-S corporation in Rhode Island. Like I said, I spent 21 years at Blue Cross. I started Legacy Benefit Advisors 10 years ago in November. And we work for the most part with retirees. So I'm aligned with just about every union in the state. RAFT, NEA, AFSCME, all the building trades, the nurses. They see me as a trusted advisor. They send their retirees to us. We help people retire. Because of my background with Blue Cross, a number of municipalities have also asked me to sit in on some discussions about post-65 retirement benefits. Because on occasion, working with retirees, we discover that a school department, a city, or a town might not have the best arrangement in place to address retirees. And sometimes, if it's not really set up well, it can be a loss for the retiree and for the school department, a city, or town. So in some cases, I provided some free input to help figure that out. And I know that there have been a couple of cases with the AFSCME union where the union provided the retiree with 5 years worth. In one instance, the school department provided the retiree with 5 years worth of health coverage after retirement. And of course, the retiree came in to see us and said, "That's truly incredible. I don't need to discuss retirement health insurance with you." And we had to explain to them that it doesn't work that way. The fact is, if you are getting coverage in retirement and you're over 65 from a previous employer, that is not considered creditable coverage in the eyes of Medicare, and 5 years from now, when that coverage ends and you want to go on Medicare, you will face penalties that will never go away, and we'll have a difficult time getting your Medicare turned on. So, again, we're so deep in the Medicare space that I get a lot of calls from unions asking if I can come in and talk to the union leadership and folks at the municipality, because in some of those cases, I don't know what kind of option, if anything, you offer retirees, but it should be structured a certain way. My brother just retired from the Middletown School Department, and there was some concerns about the way his retirement benefit was structured. Concerns both for him and the school department. It just wasn't structured the right way. So I get bored. I provide a lot of information to people, and you know, if I can help in some of these scenarios, if I can help prevent somebody from getting laid off because we figured out a better way to handle something, then that's a win for everybody.
So from a budget perspective, I'm curious, would this be, let's say we wanted to give this a try and see if we realize benefit to it. Is it a one-year contract? Like, what does that look like, Brendan?
Whatever you please.
Yeah.
But yes, it would be billed monthly.
Billed monthly. But would we be locked into?
We haven't gotten to contract negotiations. We're kind of
Yeah.
at the first step of your approval.
Okay.
And then we would go to the second step, and that would also come before you.
It'd be fascinating to, you know, if we were to take that next step, to do that cost comparison monthly,
Yep.
you know, and see, are we realizing the savings or not? You know, I think we've all heard that there's a significant problem or shortage of primary care physicians in Rhode Island. It's a very tough state to practice in, which is quite often why you see a nurse practitioner, advanced practice nurse, a physician assistant, and they're all wonderful and they're very well credentialed, and you know, they've done their studies as well. So it's nice to think about an easier way to get things when we're in a situation of not enough primary care physicians in our state right now. So that's exciting to think about. One of the slides had a bullet point about mental health services for students with potential federal funding. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, we haven't seen that exactly work out. There's some kind of a federal fund out there that is supposedly accessible if you haven't used those dollars in some other way, and that's never been made really clear to us. But if you haven't used those dollars in some other way, you can apply for that funding and put in a mental health program for students. We've tried to use it a couple of times, and for whatever reason, we couldn't bring it all the way to the end. And there were a number of different reasons. I think the last one was a school department, and the attorney at the school department decided that it wasn't worth pursuing. So we haven't had anybody move forward with that yet.
Anyone, anywhere, or anyone in Rhode Island?
Anyone in Rhode Island.
Okay.
We're primarily just doing this in Rhode Island.
Okay.
My contact base is Rhode Island.
Okay.
And you asked a second ago, so it's a one-year contract with
Yeah.
this company.
Okay.
If you want to renew it every year, you can terminate it if you would like. So far, none of the groups have stopped it. I think they feel it's been so successful. What was really interesting and funny, we put it in the Cranston School Department because their ER visits and urgent care visits were off the chart. I mean, they were crazy high. So they put it in, and about 3 months later, there's a walk-in treatment center just a couple of miles from the school administration building. Somebody from that treatment center called Ray Votto, who was the HR gentleman at the school department, and said, quite honestly, did we do something to upset you folks? And Ray said, no, why are you calling? And they said, because nobody's coming here anymore. So it had such an impact that the walk-in treatment center called the school department to see if they had done something wrong, if they upset somebody, because it was that impactful. So, yeah, that's why we're pretty much sold on this. I just think it works really well. We haven't had any bad experiences with it. Nobody's complained that it's not working well. Everybody continues to renew it. And at this point, I'm not even soliciting really new business. It's school departments, cities, towns calling us, saying, we understand you're kind of the experts when it comes to telemedicine. Can you come out here and talk to us?
This is a question for our finance director, Mr. Andrade. Have you come up with an estimate for the financial impact for the FY27 budget?
Yes, it's in your budget packet that's been presented. It's I don't have it in front of me, but it was around $14,000 to $15,000. But we could also, there's also ways we could save by maybe we start in September rather than July, or whatever you guys want to proceed with.
And have you spoken with the unions about this?
Not yet,
Not
no.
yet. Okay, but I would assume that that'll be part of your due diligence.
Correct, yes, if we move forward.
So in some cases, the school departments have said, they have to discuss it with the union folks first. But then, when we sat down and discussed it, and said, look, you're not taking anything away. You're putting a new option out there. If they want to use it, fine. If they don't want to use it, that's fine as well. It's HIPAA compliant. It doesn't negatively impact any employees, any family members. So some of them have put it in like beginning of the school year. Others have put it in during the school year. Really doesn't make that much difference. Again, just the fact that we're adding something new and not taking anything away.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Madam Chair, we could also do a survey. It's more a survey of the employees versus the union involvement, because it would be the employees that would need to buy in with the union involvement.
Getting to that age where I think of a question when someone's talking, and if I don't write it down, see you later. So I'll come up with it another day.
You can feel free to call me anytime with questions. I pick up the phone.
Okay. Mr. Andrade, what are you looking for from us this evening? A vote to what?
It's kind of a vote to all in, if you want to pursue this in your FY27 budget. It would be an increase to healthcare, obviously, but it's something that I consider we need to invest in, because we'll get into this a little bit at a later agenda item, but Bob presented it. We're looking at some possibly hefty increases again this FY27. So,
And entering into an agreement with any vendor for telemedicine would not necessarily impact our premium with Blue Cross for the coming year.
no, it would be a advancement, it would cover FY27, but it would be a future savings, correct?
Okay. I remember the question. Are you at all required to go out to bid for this service?
We could go out to bid, we probably would, but I would have to look at, you don't know, are you on the MPA or the Rhode Island MPA?
I don't know. So
And they might be sole source, but.
at
it's
this
something
point,
that-
Coventry went out to bid, Cranston Schools went out to bid, and nobody else has gone out to bid since then. I believe those two, I believe the feeling was that those two coming on board gave cover, and the bid process wasn't necessary. I can say that I'm a broker. I'm always looking at the marketplace. If I find a better mousetrap, I'm going to be all over it. And we continue to keep a close eye on Call a Doctor Plus. Want to make sure they're delivering, make sure all your people are happy. Again, I don't want to put my name on anything that doesn't work. So again, that'd be your choice, but again, only the first two went out to bid. None of the others have.
I would ask Ben, because this could go either way, given the price.
Okay.
Yep.
So, given the fact that we do have a couple of open questions, remaining, including finding out what age dependents can continue to use this, and then, of course, the question around bidding. I would like to get a motion to grant the district permission to continue to pursue this opportunity for teledoc or telemedicine services, pending the remaining research that needs to be done, including finding out about the ages, the bidding requirements, as well as surveying employees as far as their interest in the service. That is the motion. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Nope.
Concerns? Okay, all in favor?
Thank you
We
very much.
proceed.
Have a great
Thank
night and stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. That was a good presentation, thank you. I would like to ask that we move up item F, 7F, congressionally directed spending opportunity discussion, as we have our town administrator with us in the audience this evening. Do I have that motion?
Motion to move item F.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, we can move on to 7F.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Tiverton School Department and the town of Tiverton may have the opportunity to apply for a congressionally directed spending request, commonly referred to as a congressional earmark, in the approximate amount of $1 million to support transitioning the town of Tiverton's warming shelter operations from Tiverton Middle School to Tiverton High School. As currently contemplated, the funding application would include a full kitchen replacement at the high school and renovations to the auditorium to support community use and emergency shelter operations. I've placed this item on the agenda to provide preliminary information and to allow for committee discussion. The anticipated deadline application is early March. Thanks to our town administrator, Jones, who could give us more information about the potential for a congressional earmark, the town's matching requirements, and any operational implications that we may need to consider. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, Madam Chair, members of the school committee. So my experience with the congressional earmarks, as you know, these are supported by our federal delegation. These are kind of take the approach of the lottery. You can't win if you don't play. So in speaking with the superintendent and Mr. Andrade, looking at the current operations of our shelter, also coming out of the last storm that we just had, it's been, again, my experience that when you put forward these grants and you show collaborative effort between schools and town agencies or multi-jurisdictional, that kind of moves it up to the top of the list, or at least adds additional points. I know that with moving the operations of the emergency management shelter, and I've spoken to the emergency management director, the fire chief, right now, given the location of the generator, the middle school serves as that. But as you recall, going through COVID, we had the vaccination clinics here. And one of the issues that come up with being a Red Cross certified shelter, you need to have a full kitchen and not a warming kitchen, which is currently in existence in the high school. Also, given that in the event of an emergency, our emergency operations would completely move here. And given that the auditorium is probably one of the largest, if not the largest, meeting space that we have in town for the public, we were looking at it from a multi-pronged approach, that we'd have an auditorium, we could have the gymnasium to serve as a shelter, we could have a generator, and also we could put in a newly upgraded kitchen that would meet Red Cross standards. During this last storm that we just had, the regional shelter for Newport County is in Middletown. So that's a Red Cross certified shelter. The issue with what happened during the last storm, given the snow, we couldn't even get there. So what I would propose, and obviously with this proposal, it is just a proposal. There are no guarantees. They prefer that we give a match. I know the superintendent talked about $1 million. In speaking with my federal contacts, to quote them, they said, be greedy. So if this is something that we want to go into the multiple millions of dollars, knowing that we'd have to go out to bid if we're going to do a kitchen, the auditorium, a generator, to support all the requirements of a grant, what I would propose to you is that we get those numbers, even though the timeline is tight, and that we would put in for a number that we would be somewhat comfortable with, that we could actually proceed forward on this project. And if we could do 50% either through a ride reimbursement or casino gaming, that would help offset this project as well. I plan on presenting this proposal that you're hearing tonight to the council on Monday as well, because any matching grant as part of the council's policy has to go in front of the respective committees, because this is not a direct award, there's going to be a match. So I'll gladly entertain any questions you may have.
Jocelyn. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This sounds great. So March is when the application deadline is. When would we know?
So normally what would happen is, obviously, the federal fiscal budget starts October 1.
Yeah.
So just to give you an example, ma'am, we put in for this in '25. And we put in for multiple projects, and we were able to get $210,000 for a fireboat out of a $600,000, so approximately 40 to 45% of the costs. And we just got notified about that after the holidays.
Okay.
So what I would anticipate, early '27,
Yep.
that we'd get notified about any award that we would receive.
Thank you.
If we were to convert the kitchen to a fully functional kitchen, and I only just learned that it's not recently,
Yes, ma'am.
what would that mean for the day-to-day operations of the schools?
I'm hoping a culinary program for you guys, because it'd be yours.
You've always right there, aren't you?
Yeah, given the current auditorium, we know its condition. It definitely needs some upgrades. So what we're trying to do is leverage the use that we would use in an emergency and get those federal funds. But when there is no emergency, that's yours.
Well, and I will share with you, we just had the building committee meeting prior to this.
Yes,
And I had
ma'am.
hoped you would be there, but I know you can't be everywhere at one time.
Planning board, yes, ma'am.
The topic came up, and $1 million, when you're going to be spending on a new kitchen, right, and a new generator, and I don't know if there's any other supplies that would be required, wouldn't leave you all that much for work on the auditorium. We had the auditorium assessed for renovation in one of our previous capital plans, and it was in the millions to renovate the auditorium. So clearly, this is not, what you're proposing would not be a renovation of the auditorium, and my question is, would it not make sense? I don't know what the scope of the improvements to the auditorium would be beyond maybe fixing seats.
Right.
Would it make sense to pursue a full renovation of that auditorium so that it truly could be used for our students?
So you could.
It works for our kids fine now as far as assemblies go.
Sure. I guess the purpose in applying for the grant is, like I stated before, that when it's not going to be not in use when school is open.
Right.
But to try and attract the attention of, like, FEMA,
Right.
that it would be used as pretty much a command point for all of the town officials, yourselves, the council. We would conduct meetings there. We would designate an area that we could have a coop site for the police department. Heaven forbid something happened to the police department, we could move dispatch here mobily, set it up in there. So those type of plannings kind of attract the attention of the federal government because it's multi-used. But if we put in for, and I know the superintendent and Mr. Andrade and myself had a conversation about $1 million, but I mean, the issue that come up with these grants is you're on such a tight schedule, and they really don't give you a lot of time to research. And I got the call 3 weeks ago, and there's actually another grant that has to be in by Friday, and we're scrambling around. And what they're looking for are snapshots. They don't need full bidded prices, but they want concepts. So, and then we meet with our federal delegation and we try and promote the need for the community and how this would positively impact them. So, I mean, I say $1 million, we could go 3 to 4. I mean, 4 is a nice round number, so this way we could do 2 million of a matching grant, and then even, I'm sure the superintendent and Mr. Andre can work with their ride contacts. So this way we have a bucket of money. And even if the federal government came back with $2 million, we could also break it out when we apply for the grant to do phases, like most ride improvements. So we could start with the auditorium, or a kitchen, or the generators, or do it over several fiscal cycles or several ride reimbursement cycles. So this way, the end result, because normally these federal grants, as you know, go over 3 years. That is usually the kind of the benchmark that they give us, and we just have to put all the mandatory reporting in.
Okay. The storm we had, in case you hadn't heard, we had a blizzard last week.
I did hear something about it.
And, you know, the topic of whether or not we had a shelter did come up on social media.
Right,
Luckily, it didn't catch fire.
right.
But are we in a position to open that shelter at the middle school? Is the town in a position to open that shelter today?
Yes. If we needed to open the shelter, we could open the shelter. Yes.
That generator that's there today is functioning?
Yes, yes. But we're limited as to what would end up happening is if it was an extended event, then obviously, you know, your students are not coming to school.
No.
So it would be something that we'd want to evaluate the current generator that you have, which I can only imagine has been there forever, doesn't meet our needs. So if we're going to upgrade the auditorium, if we're going to add a kitchen, we're going to want that whole section of the building fully operational. And then if we're going to add the police department, we're going to, or an EOC, like an emergency operations center, we're going to want internet access. Even when internet is down, we're going to want something that is running 24/7. So what I'd want to do with the fire chief as the emergency management director and your staff is kind of evaluate what we have. Is that good enough for what we're proposing, or do we need to upgrade or add? We keep that generator and maybe put another one that is exclusive for the shelter. All these questions, I mean, we'd want to put into a proposal. I just don't want to miss the opportunity to ask for the funding.
No, and I'm not opposed.
I know you're not, ma'am.
I just want to ask these questions because
That's why I'm here.
they do come to mind.
Yes.
We were very fortunate that we did not have widespread power outages
Yes, ma'am.
with this last storm. I do remember a few years back, that wasn't the case. And I don't remember the town opening the shelter at that time either. Have we ever opened the shelter?
We have during, it's mostly during, I do recall there were several times because, and as you know, given the number of folks in town that don't have town water, they're on well pumps.
Yeah.
So, and then when you have oil heat and electric heat, so when it's a multi-day event, I think the thing that helped us, obviously the lack of the loss of power, and that the next day was somewhat mild, that the weather continuously improved.
Oh, it did.
But if we were looking at a multi-day event with,
Which could happen.
absolutely, with, you know, below zero temperatures, we'd be opening up the shelter and like the superintendent, almost like a warming center, and then being able to provide food. I know with Middletown, and this was a perfect example, which I plan to build into the narrative and the reasons why we should, that this project should be funded, we couldn't get over the Sakana River Bridge. So as much as the Middletown shelter, as the regional shelter for Newport County is great, that's serving Aquidneck Island. And we're not part of Aquidneck Island. So what I'd want to do is kind of partner up with Little Compton and Tiverton.
I was just going to say, Little Compton could probably
Absolutely.
make use of our shelter as
Absolutely.
well.
So this way, their Red Cross folks could be here with us as well.
Okay. Anyone else have questions? I don't want to monopolize.
I mean, if it can't hurt our application to bump up that number to reflect what we truly need.
Do you need our vote and support?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Kim, did you have any?
Who applies for this?
So the town of Tiverton would apply. So how these congressional earmarks work, when the omnibus fiscal federal budget is passed into law and by the Congress and the president signs off on it, the thousands of pages of governmental spending, there'll be like a 3-sentence line that says the town of Tiverton, Rhode Island shall receive X number of dollars for the purpose of X. So we apply, and then when we get the congressional earmark, then the federal government kind of designates us to a respective agency that we reapply to them. For example, the fireboat grant. We got that through a congressional earmark, which was passed as a matter of federal law, and now the fire chief's working with USDA to apply for that award to get it in connection with the fireboat.
Okay. And when was the last time the shelter was used? I think,
Oh, gosh,
Diane asked that.
it's been a few years. It has. And I believe it was, I think it was one of the January storms that we might have had in like 22 or 23 that, that we had. It was kind of one of those weird January storms that it was kind of a hurricane, and we kind of had snow. Off the top of my head, ma'am, I don't exactly remember, but it's been a few years.
Yeah, I was told by Chartwell's, we've opened the shelter 3 times in the last 10 years, I think they told me. And the reason was when I came on board a couple years ago was Chartwell's would come in, they would do the cooking, and we would have to pay them, obviously, to come in, their employees, so.
Yeah, I
they're-
wish I had known.
Yep,
I
yep.
went without power for 3 days. I was freezing.
So, just
I didn't
Administrator
realize
Joe, I think, like he said a couple years ago, and I probably like 15 or 16, I'm just trying to think of the last storms,
Yeah.
but it was a couple times in the last 10 years.
Okay.
And I mean, just to kind of reiterate, I'm selling this to you, and I say selling this because I think it's a good thing for the town. It's an opportunity that I'm presenting to you to support, which I know you do. And your questions are extraordinarily valid, and it's important that we vet these questions because there'll be more. But, in speaking with the superintendent and Mr. Andrade, I look at it as also an opportunity that the shelter, we're trying to figure out the last time we opened the shelter. And from a public safety perspective, it's when you need it, you need it. It's kind of like an insurance policy. You pay the premiums knowing that when it happens, you have it. And that's kind of how we're presenting this. But with that being said, investing the money from whether it be RIDE, casino gaming, and federal funds, my hope is to get a new auditorium, upgrade the high school where it needs to get upgraded, and get a kitchen in here so we can have a conversation about adding a CTE So I think it's a rising tide that raises all the boats with this program and this potential for funding.
and how does the public get notified that the shelter's open?
So we have kind of like a reverse 911, we call it Code Red.
Okay.
And it's a great question that you're bringing up, because after we're in the midst of doing an after-action report, given the last storm, and one of the things that was brought up was the communication aspect of how do we notify the public, because not everyone is on social media, and not everyone has a website. And with the website or cell phone, if power goes down, you lose internet, then your laptop is pretty much useless unless you have a hotspot or you're going to use your phone. But what we want to do is kind of promote people getting back onto the Code Red, because if you still have a landline, a text message, and we've all had them, and they've all scared us when we get those emergency alerts and your phone vibrates, it's kind of along those same lines. So what we want to do moving forward is, and I spoke with the fire chief about it today, really promote the Code Red. So this way, put it on the website, have people sign up, and you can choose how you want to get those. You can choose all. You'll get an email, a text message, a phone call at your house. Or if you want one means of communication, you can just get one. But I know what we need to do is better advertise and better reach people. So in the event of an emergency, of course, we're going to post it on social media. Of course, we're going to put it on the website. But when we need to open the shelter, your phone will give you that emergency alert saying the Tiverton shelter is open. This is how you come to the shelter.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, can I get a motion to support this opportunity to apply for federal funds?
I'll make that motion.
Support. No. Second.
Boy, you ladies are quick tonight. All in favor? Motion,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Okay, we're playing puzzles here. Okay, so next up on the agenda, this is item 7B, discussion and possible vote on virtual instruction day plan.
Thank you, Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Haskins.
Tiverton School Department's virtual instructional day plan for the 2025-26 academic year provides a structured framework to ensure continuity of instruction during school closures due to inclement weather. To remain in effect, the plan requires an annual review and formal approval by the Tiverton School Committee. The plan's development involved collaboration with key stakeholders, including the district's administrative council and collective bargaining units, the NEA, and Council 94. When a distance learning day is initiated, the district utilizes a multi-channel communication strategy, including email, social media, the district website, and local television website to notify families. Attendance in virtual learning is mandatory and is recorded during the first period for middle and high school students, while elementary teachers take attendance for their respective classes. The district aims to maintain the level of rigor comparable to in-person instruction through a truncated school day. Key instructional components include synchronous learning, where each student receives at least 3 cumulative hours of live synchronous instruction daily. Google Classroom, which serves as the central hub for all learning materials, assignments, assessments, and teacher-student interaction. And specialized services, where all student services, including specialized instruction, such as speech and language, adaptive physical education, occupational therapy, and physical therapy, are delivered virtually in a synchronous format. To ensure equitable access to virtual learning, the Tiverton School District provides a Chromebook to every student. For families without reliable internet, the district provides mobile hotspots. Additionally, the technology department remains available all day during those virtual learning days via email and phone to provide technical assistance to students, staff, and parents. The plan outlines specific schedules to ensure a balanced virtual day. At the elementary school and grade 4 program, the day typically includes core subjects such as literacy and math, along unified arts such as art, music, physical education, health, often concluding between 11 a.m. and 12:15 p.m. depending on the specific grade level. At the middle school, students follow a 7-period schedule running from 8:03 a.m. to 11:35 a.m. And at the high school, the schedule consists of 7 26-minute classes beginning at 7:28 a.m. and ending at 10:48 a.m. While the Tiverton School Department previously submitted its virtual instructional day plan to the Rhode Island Department of Education earlier this school year, I was recently asked to clarify when the school committee last approved the plan. The plan was originally approved in September of 2023 and has not been presented to the school committee for approval since that time. Accordingly, it is being brought forward this evening for your review and renewed approval.
Do I have a motion to approve the virtual instruction day plan?
A motion to approve?
I have a second.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion or questions?
Yes. So what we have in our backup here is the plan that would be sent to RIDE?
The plan that you have here was sent to RIDE.
Okay. Just, I only asked because on page 3, item 1B has the date of when school committee approved it last. So that would need to be updated to reflect tonight's meeting.
And to dovetail on your question, you mentioned 23, this says 24.
So I did some research. This does say 24. Tiverton School Department did not review this plan in September of 24. That's a typo. It was reviewed in September of 23.
Okay.
That was the last time it was reviewed based on my review of the available school committee minutes. However, this is the plan that was submitted to the Rhode Island Department of Education as it is before you. My next step would be simply to correspond with the Department of Education with the dates that the school committee reviewed it and accepted it. Those dates will be September 2023 and, if approved this evening, March 3rd of 2026. And that will be the totality of my communication.
Any other questions? Kim?
So I think going forward, we should do this in September every year.
I agree.
And I just have a question. By not sending an approved virtual instruction day plan to RIDE, where does that leave January's distance learning day that we had for that snowstorm? Do they have to receive this in order to allow us to distance learn? How does that work?
I'm not exactly sure how that will work, but my approach will be to assume that the virtual learning plan that Tiverton has utilized since 2023 would be acceptable, unless told otherwise.
And we've never had any indication that that wouldn't be the case? So the 2023 plan is fine?
I have not received any feedback that the 2023 plan needed any improvements. So to simply answer your question, yes, I believe that it is fine.
Okay.
And what you explained to us as far as the process, the day, plans, et cetera, those are the same plans that have been in place for several years with respect to virtual learning days?
That's correct. And if I can add to that, Tiverton teachers and students who have had experience with virtual learning are very well aware of the expectations, and it runs seamlessly.
I don't have any additional questions. Anyone else?
Nope.
I did notice 2D and 2J were not filled in. It's on page 5 of 8. Is that going to be filled in, or? It says insert explanation, supporting details, relative links.
I do not plan to fill that in this year, but certainly will plan to fill that in for next year.
And what does NPSE stand for? On 2J at the bottom of the page.
Person instruction.
I don't know.
Okay.
So I know, obviously, CT is Career and Technical Education. WBL, I'm not familiar with. Web-based learning,
That's what I'm
perhaps.
thinking.
NPSE, I'm not familiar with.
Okay. And I'm thinking too, if like parents that are special ed students, it's very difficult for them to get on and get off in 2 minutes and changing classrooms. Is there a plan for them?
We have not received feedback that students receiving special education services have had difficulty accessing the online learning, but we do have special education teachers and support staff available to our special education students. A virtual instructional day means all of our employees are working. All of our teachers, general education, special education, support professionals, service providers, and teacher assistants are all available to assist.
Okay, it doesn't really work very well for special ed students, is what I'm saying.
I have not received that feedback.
No, I'm telling you.
So for some students who are experiencing challenges, who attend the Tiverton School Department, we ask that they contact their building principal, and we can provide those supports.
Okay. All right, that's it I have. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? It's passed. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have item D, school improvement team updates. Ms. Sherman?
Thank you. So I had requested an update regarding school improvement teams, just to find out, does each school have one, and what is the composition of the team that's participating? And so you did share that memo. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Sherman. In accordance with the Rhode Island law, school improvement teams play a defined and important advisory role within each school. Pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 16234, every public school is required to establish a school improvement team composed of teachers, administrators, and parents with responsibilities that include developing, reviewing, and monitoring the school improvement plan, advising the principal on school-level policies and practices, and supporting strategies to improve student achievement and school climate. As requested, I wish to update the school committee on school improvement team membership and activities. And thank you to our principals who have provided me with these details. So starting with Pawtucket Elementary School, the school improvement team consists of the principal, 4 parents, and 2 teachers. This team has met twice so far this year. A third meeting is scheduled later this month. Meeting topics have included establishing the SIT purpose and function, reviewing the accountability performance measurements, establishing school improvement plan goals, addressing recess issues, budget planning, planning school culture events, and discussing facilities and technology needs. At the Walter E. Ranger Elementary School, the school improvement team consists of the principal, 3 parents, a social worker, a teacher, and a support professional. This team has met twice, with a third meeting scheduled later this month. Meeting topics have included establishing the SIT purpose and function, reviewing school improvement goals and related data, and reviewing the school's needs assessment. At the Tiverton Middle School, the team consists of the principal, the assistant principal, 2 parents, and 3 teachers. The team has met twice, with a third meeting scheduled for this week, I believe. Meeting topics have included school improvement plan goals, budget and personnel, academic activities, and extracurricular operations. At Tiverton High School, the school improvement team consists of the principal, 13 teachers, 6 parents, which includes 1 school committee member. The team has met 3 times this year. The meeting topics have included establishing the SIT purpose and function, establishing SIT goals, and updating the school improvement plan. I would like to note a sincere appreciation to each member of our school improvement teams who generously dedicates their time, expertise, and energy to this important work. Their willingness to engage thoughtfully in planning, dialogue, and continuous improvement efforts directly strengthens our school and supports the success of every student. So thank you to them.
Thank you for sharing that update. It's the school improvement teams have an important role, and it's a collaborative approach. My only feedback would be to just reflect on what our policy is for school improvement teams, and there's some specific language in the policy that identifies that it should be a balanced composition of participants. And overall, there seems to be some balance. It's a little off balance with the high school composition. And just also considering too, the potential opportunity for students to participate. We have seen that in the past, not at the elementary level, certainly at the high school level, maybe at the middle school level. And I'm always going to be the parent that pushes for meetings more towards the evening so that parents can participate. It's really hard when some of these meetings occur at 2:30, 3 o'clock, and most people work. So that's just my feedback. But thank you so much for providing this information.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for the feedback. That's really important. I will provide that feedback to our principals and work to provide a greater balance on the team of parents to teachers and including students, which I believe is in the policy for the high school. And certainly to recommend that meetings are provided in evening hours or hours and dates that parents can participate. I think that's really important feedback.
And even if there was a rotation, you know, where one time it's in the afternoon, one time it's in the evening, or there's a virtual option, something that makes it a little bit more universally accessible for all people that are interested. Just, you know, this is a working community, so it's hard for parents to participate during the day.
I very, very much appreciate that important feedback. Thank you.
Have community members come forward to participate?
So by meaning community parent members who do not have children in the Tiverton schools?
Right.
I have
Community parent or-
I have not heard of any that are participating, but I also don't know that we've solicited specifically that demographic, community members who do not have children in the school system. So that's another suggestion I'll bring forward to the principals.
Okay. Thank you.
We had one last year and the year before at the high school.
Thank you.
The role of the school committee in the SIT teams is limited, right? As you know, by law. But my question for you, Mr. Haskins, is do you get regular reporting on the activities of the school improvement teams? And what's your overall feeling for how effective they are for Tiverton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do get reports from the principals in my regular one-on-one meetings with them. At the beginning of the school year, the emphasis was on updating the school improvement plan. What we noticed is that the strategic plan that was submitted to the Rhode Island Department of Education had some really important goals written. However, they did not include some of the priorities like supporting the high-quality instructional materials in literacy and mathematics that are currently being implemented in our classrooms. So at the beginning of the school year, the emphasis was on updating the school improvement plans. But now with feedback from the school committee, we'll look at next steps in terms of balancing representation. But in terms of how well they are functioning, I think it's an excellent first year in my involvement with the school. I do have some goals for each school improvement team. I would like to see school improvement plans that focus on the changes in learning and changes in instruction that we need to see in our classroom, a piece on school climate and reducing interfering behaviors in the classroom and in other settings, as well as the other important curricula areas, science, social studies. School improvement plans should identify the resources and supports that are needed to help those changes in instruction and those changes in learning. So, working with the principals to support their facilitation of school improvement teams to create and support robust, data-driven school improvement plans that we can monitor regularly. That would be the goal for future years. But all in all, I think a great first start. And from the suggestion of the request of including this as a committee, as a school committee item, I think it would be a wise move for us to include this annually or biannually, or even more frequently, to get updates from the schools on their school improvement plan efforts.
Thank you. I think, too, that, and this is a message for anybody who may be watching who is a parent of a student. When my child was in the schools, I participated on the school improvement team. I know Mrs. Sherman has participated. I don't know, have you at all? No, okay. But it's participating in school improvement teams, participating in the PTOs, the boosters, et cetera, are all vital roles within our schools. And anyone who has the opportunity to perhaps give some of their time in support of our schools on one of these types of committees or endeavors, it would be most appreciated. And it gives you the opportunity also to, see into what's really happening in the schools, right? You see it with your own two eyes, and you have the opportunity to express your opinion and have your say. So I think that's important as well, because again, it is very limited to what our role is with respect to the actual happenings within the schools. So, all right, thank you very much. Next, we have specialized high school program discussion. Ms. Prager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've provided you this evening with an overview of the intensive special education program at Tiverton High School and the rationale for expanding it. The program supports students with disabilities who are working toward grade level standards but need a smaller, more structured instructional environment to be successful. Students receive explicit instruction, executive functioning support, and social emotional supports while accessing general ed classes when appropriate. Expanding the program allows us to bring services that are being provided through an out-of-district partnership program back into Tiverton, strengthening alignment with our curriculum, increasing collaboration with families, and helping students remain connected to their homeschool community while progressing toward graduation and post-secondary pathways. Expanding this program at THS allows us to bring that level of support in-house and then ultimately reduce the out-of-district placements. This program ensures that Tiverton can meet the needs of a broader range of learners within our own district while maintaining high expectations for academic progress, independence, and post-secondary readiness. Do you have any questions?
This program is going to be ready for September?
Yes, so it's an expansion. We are currently running the program, so we will be expanding it to bring students back from an out-of-district placement and avoid students going to that out-of-district placement and remaining in district.
So the students that are already in out-of-district placement, when are their parents going to be notified?
So that will occur at IEP meetings that are already scheduled, actually.
Okay. So now the students coming back, are they going to be assessed to see if returning is what's best for them?
That will be done through the IEP. It's based on the services that are outlined in the IEP. And if those services, we're creating the services, so we have them at Tiverton High School. So it's just based on the IEP itself. And then we monitor that at least quarterly through an IEP review process.
I mean, I'm just concerned because as a parent of a child with special needs, just bringing a student back after they've been seated into a program, like the consistency is just going to be blown up.
Yes, so it'll be discussed at every individual IEP meeting. Like I said, it's based on the services that are in that IEP. Many of the parents do want their kids back at the high school. Many of their friends are here at the high school, so in speaking with some of the students, we've already talked to some of the students. Our special ed chairperson has visited the program, talked to the students about the high school program that we're developing here and their intentions of wanting to be here as well. So now we'll be meeting with the families.
Okay. So staffing, you need a special ed teacher?
Special ed teacher and a teacher assistant.
One of each?
Correct.
And the special ed teacher, is that going to be posted on School Spring, or is that someone in-house that's going to take that?
That will be posted on School Spring.
Okay. Is there any way to do a fiscal impact statement for, like, how this is
Yep,
overall?
Mr. Andrade's going to go over that in the, in the budget presentation, or are you going to do that?
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. That's about all I have right now, thanks.
You're welcome.
Do you have any questions? No. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Item G, Building Committee's recommendation for capital requests. Mr. Haskins and Andrade, you choose. You can turn on your microphone, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the building committee met recently. In fact, just before the school committee meeting here, to review our priorities, to update our 5-year capital plan, and to present to the school committee recommendations for the school committee capital request to the town council. We reviewed a number of projects that we feel are priorities for the Tiverton School Department. And 3 of those projects have risen to the top. One that we've brought to you previously is the replacement of the tennis courts at Tiverton High School. We would need to review the bids on this. Bids are closed till April 1st. However, our planning number for this is around $450,000 for the full replacement of the tennis courts. This was originally requested for capital request for the town council in the fall. This was tabled by the town council, if you recall, with a request for the school department return in the spring of 2026. The second priority are the Tiverton Middle School and High School bathroom renovations, completing that renovation project. We are estimating approximately $800,000 to finish that project. And the third being sidewalk repairs, asphalt replacement, and drainage improvements at Ranger Elementary School, Pawtucket Elementary School, the Fort Barton School, which houses our transition program, Tiverton Middle School, and Tiverton High School. The estimates on that are $300,000 for Tiverton High School, $143,000 for Tiverton Middle School, $20,000 for Fort Barton, $19,000 for Pawtucket, and $17,000 for the Ranger Elementary School. And we're looking at a total capital request of approximately $1.7 million.
And that would be inclusive of all three projects.
Yes, inclusive of all three projects. We're looking at approximately $450,000 for the tennis courts, $800,000 for the bathrooms, and approximately $500,000 for the sidewalk repairs, asphalt replacement, and drainage improvements.
I don't have 3 on there.
No, and I'll speak to that in a moment.
Okay, thank you.
So that third one was the building committee meeting directly before this meeting
okay.
tonight. We went through, and I know there aren't minutes yet generated for it, so I can't, this isn't the official record, but we did speak to a number of possible capital improvements, and the building committee felt that in addition to the tennis courts, the bathrooms, that the improvements to the asphalt and drainage issues at the schools, that those be the next highest priority and probably more than enough for a capital request. I also, as is mentioned in this memo from Mr. Andrade, right, the tennis courts are currently out to bid. He did indicate that he's got a few bids, but of course he can't open them until April, at which time we'll have a better idea of exactly what that tennis court cost will be. There does seem to be some disparity between what Brewster Thornton thinks on the bathrooms and what we think on the bathrooms, so I think you're going to be putting in a little bit additional research on that at this point. Yeah. So I guess, and then, of course, the asphalt work. So I don't think we're in a position to vote on anything tonight. I think this was, great information. It's the most up-to-date information, but I would like to see an official vote taken as soon as you have the information that you need with better numbers. And that way we can vote on it to support it and send it over to the town council.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will prioritize getting more real estimates for each of those 3 projects for the April school committee meeting.
And I think, too, just so that for transparency for the school committee, a quick review for the school committee at perhaps the next meeting, because we are very short on time already tonight, of all of the potential projects be brought forth to the school committee, as ultimately we're the ones that are going to say yea or nay before it goes to the town council. But I will tell you, I was in support of what the building committee recommends.
We will plan to provide a more comprehensive update of the 5-year capital plan, including the 11 items that were discussed at the building committee meeting
you.
this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
How does the building committee come up with what they want to do? Do they walk around buildings? I'm just wondering where they...
The building committee reviews the 5-year capital plan and relies on expertise of our facilities director, director of finance and business, myself, and the principal representative, Amy Donnelly-Roach. There are members of that committee who are very familiar with the condition of the buildings. And then, of course, they rely on those of us who work in the building every day.
I will say, too, that as a member of the building committee for a few years now, the building committee has indeed done some walkthroughs. Not recently, but I can remember doing a very thorough one at the middle school a few years back. So it can happen when it's appropriate.
Thank you.
Any other questions? on that? Okay, thank you. All right, monthly financial report, Mr. Andrade.
So this is the, as you know, we postponed the meeting till tonight, so this is the January report. Next week, you'll receive the February report, but as of period 7 through January 2026, the district has spent approximately $18.5 million, or 52% of our $35.7 million FY26 budget. With 58% of the fiscal year complete, overall spending is trending slightly below a straight line projection, indicating stable budget performance. As you'll see in your packet tonight, I tried to change the memo a little bit to give you some more detail as we approach the second half of the fiscal year. But personnel costs, which represents most of our budget, is aligned with payroll timing. Benefits are slightly ahead due to front-loaded insurance premiums, but remain within anticipated ranges. Transportation and tuition accounts are pacing appropriately, and we continue to keep an eye on out-of-district tuition costs, which is a primary cost driver, and again, will be closely monitored throughout the year. Supply accounts reflect typical seasonality, and facility costs are consistent with operational needs. So nothing of concern about a structural deficit or an actual deficit, but we will continue to monitor different areas such as special education, legal, unemployment costs, benefits containment, facilities demands, and report any material variances that may come up in the future. Any specific questions on year-to-date January 2026?
I will just make a comment
Okay.
that it pleases me that you were able to confidently say that there is no structural or anticipated real deficit in our future, at least as of this time. Understanding that there are obviously several categories that need to be watched closely.
Absolutely.
Brendan, why is there such a difference in the Medicaid claims provider account?
That's because we only projected revenue of $65,000, so my budget was built on the estimated costs of that $65,000 to get those Medicaid reimbursements. So as you can see in the last page, we are almost approaching $300,000 in Medicaid. So that cost is related to that extra money. So really, it's a net offset. We're still ahead by $260,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw the jump in
Yeah, that's just,
$19,000.
yeah, I only budgeted for what we budget on the revenue side.
Okay.
That raises another question. That was a great question. If we were to experience unexpected increases in special ed costs between now and the end of the school year, would we be able to tap in to those reimbursements that have already been received to balance our budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So we have to be cognizant of that as we plan for future
Yep.
year budgets.
Yep, and it's school committee approval.
Thank you.
Brendan, the early risers and beyond the bell in preschool,
Yep.
you've got for a note preschool tuition
Yep.
offsets
So-
preschool salaries. The income from early risers and beyond the bell, where is that showing?
I am not including that in the budget this FY '26. I'm keeping that separate. To be honest with you, the idea there is any additional revenue would go to a fund balance, and specifically the lunch fund that needs help usually. So that line item is does say those things, but specifically that $16,000 is for pre-K tuition that we usually make above and beyond, and that offsets the salaries of the teachers. Obviously, not much, but a short change.
Okay. And then that money's going into the lunch fund.
Yep, and anything from,
And-
sorry.
You finish.
Anything from early rises beyond the bell, in order to use it in the general fund, I would actually need school committee approval, which has happened before with the deficit last year, but just so you're aware.
So without approval, where does it just sit somewhere?
It sits in a
Is
fund
it-
balance in the account. Yeah, it's a specialized account. It's an enterprise fund.
Okay,
Yep,
thanks.
no problem.
You answered my question.
Oh, okay.
Lunch fund meaning uncollected.
The food
Debt.
service program.
So-
So at the end of the year, food service program is tough to estimate. As you know, we've had a last couple of years, including outside of the debt that's owed. Just because not as many is buying, just as, with the debt situation. So what happens is, early in the year is more of our vacations, February through September. So it's kind of tough to predict where the rest of the year is gonna go, because March through June is when we start to pick up and get back. So on a monthly basis, the superintendent and I meet with Chartwells. The idea right now is we're doing better than what we did last year, so that's good
Good.
news.
Yeah.
So from that end, it's kind of tough to predict that, but to Diane's point is, we may need to utilize Medicaid to cover your lunch fund as well, the food service program, which is an enterprise fund. You might need to utilize early risers. But as of right now, we're projecting in the, we're on track, but I'm still concerned based on the debt, because the P&L we're seeing shows that's expected revenue that's coming in, but doesn't mean that it was paid. It could be in a debt situation.
And how are we reaching out for
So-
noticing families? or-
Yep, so on a weekly basis, one of the clerical workers is putting together a list of outstanding debt over, I think the policy's $50, so that's what she's doing. She's looking at anyone that's in the negative 50 plus.
Yeah.
So they're sending letters home, the clerks are contacting the families, and we're trying to collect. Actually, while I was sitting here, before the meeting, Dr. Keogh, I'll use him as an example, he had sent a note to his clerical staff to, see where we stand and how we're doing on collections. So the principals are actively working with the staff to try to collect that money.
Good, thank you.
No problem.
While we're on the topic of the various funds,
Yes.
and I really don't want to belabor this, Town Capital Technology and Textbooks, we were allotted $312,600. We've spent $259,600. Are you anticipating any additional spending, or have you already spent for the year?
Nope, we'll spend the remaining 53, that's the variance.
And you report what those expenses are to the town council? How is that done?
We could, but the way it's done is we actually have to send our invoice to the town treasurer, and the town treasurer funds our check to pay for that. So technically, the town treasurer has the report. We also
And she's
work-
aware to charge it
Yeah,
to that
correct,
fund?
correct.
Okay.
Yep, we have we actually have a capital system. So for instance, capital number 1 would be for tech and technology. Capital number 2 might be for bathroom renovation and so on. So we work together with the town treasurer on that.
Okay. Anything else?
So the $50 for the lunch that you're billing, once they reach $50, I thought we had decided it was going to be 1 week's worth of unpaid lunch.
Correct, they're checking it weekly. The clerk is sending the data weekly, and the principals and the clerks are working together weekly on that, yeah.
I'm just thinking $50 is an awful high amount to notify somebody that they owe.
Yeah, that's based on school committee policy, so we could consider changing that if you choose.
Oh, God, that's a lot.
If I'm not mistaken, Kim, we already did consider it and declined.
Yeah, I thought so,
To
but I
change it.
wasn't positive.
I thought it was 1 week's worth of
No.
lunch.
No, we discussed that, we discussed collection services, and I believe we kept the policy as is for this year.
We
If
can
I
always
remember.
revisit.
Yeah, we could revisit the minutes, but.
We all set with the current month's financials?
Yes.
All right, now on to the fun stuff. Discussion and possible vote FY '27 proposed school budget, proposed adjustments. So Again, we've already been here for a while, however, we do need to get through this evening. We've had a number of presentations, discussions. We've had some recommendations for us to consider changes to certain specific line items for specific services. I know Mr. Andrade has included in our packages some additional documentation that addresses some of these items, so I'd like us to take them up have Mr. Andrade come through his presentation. I will ask that if there are going to be any adjustments coming from the school committee, that they be made in the form of a motion to make that adjustment to the specific item. Okay? So I'll start things off with Mr. Andrade.
All right, so, thank you, Madam Chair. As you mentioned, there's quite a few things, so I'm gonna go one by one, and Superintendent Haskins and I will kind of double team this as we go through each item in the agenda. The first is the high-level overview. As you know, we've done 2 budget cycles so far, budget workshops, if you would. That occurred working off a FY27 budget rollout that was presented originally on January 13th. So a lot of time has gone by, and as I said, things changed this early in the year, and things will continue to change all the way through July 1st. So a few things did change. So I am seeing, after doing a roll-up in the last 35 days or so, we have continued to refine projections based on updated staffing data, RFP responses, utilization trends, and prior committee feedback on those workshops. The net impact of the February 20th revision, and the reason February 20th, that was actually when this agenda was given for the last meeting that was postponed. So as you can see, we've already, 13 days have gone by, so, well, 11 days. But the net impact of the February 20 revision was an overall increase of $54,612. This would bring the FY27 proposed budget from $36,636,308 to $36,690,920, a 0.1% net change. However, the projected revenue for CT tuition has increased by $16,500 due to a student entering the district with another potential student enrollment for 26-27 school year. So after accounting for the additional revenue, the current net change from the last review reflects a $38,113 impact. It is important to note that several other factors still remain unresolved, as I mentioned. Most notably, medical insurance premiums, as we discussed a little bit during the presentation this evening, CT out-of-district tuition, and special ed placements are continuing changes in a budget cycle. So recent on-site indicators suggest potential upward pressure for those mentioned. However, the trust has indicated that final figures will not be available for approximately 3 more weeks. So again, this was presented on February 17th, so that's about 2 more weeks from today. And most out-of-district placement decisions occur near the end of the budget adoption cycle. We are hopeful that more information will be available at the next meeting, next Tuesday, March 10th, but any material changes will be incorporated and communicated properly. Below is a summary of the primary adjustments since the last review. So as you can see, nothing earth-shattering. The biggest changes had to do with RFP responses for occupational therapy, therapists, physical therapists, personal care attendants, et cetera. The other change has to do with health and medical premiums. Just based on the recent data and the concern that the trust has, and the reason they're kind of holding the numbers till last minute is they're trying to really get their hands around the Blue Cross Blue Shield increase that the gentleman spoke about tonight during the presentation. Other changes have to do with items that the school committee suggested, such as lowering unemployment insurance for now, increase to HVAC maintenance areas, and then we had some adjustments just basic on budget needs, such as other dues and fees, due to how Rhode Island Scholastic League will charge us for the future for our co-op hockey team, our co-op wrestling team, TMS soccer team, if that was approved by the school committee, the indoor track that was approved this fiscal year, and again, this is just relocation of expenses. So in summary, as I said, I went through each line item, but I kind of just gave you a high-level summary this evening. But is there any questions at this point in time? I'll pause there.
I have primarily a comment. The items that you recommend changes to that came as per school committee requests, we have not taken any votes
Correct,
to ask you to make those changes, and we will need to do so.
correct.
And I only see that on 2 lines here for maintenance and repairs. Everything else that you've adjusted has come organically through your work.
Correct.
Okay. All right, just
Yeah,
wanna-
and the reason for the change is, you're right, obviously you would approve the whole budget, but I'm not in disagreement with your suggestions, so that's why I'm making the changes to see where we stand.
Okay.
Most notably, I have no problem going up and down as the committee pleases, but again, my primary comments, I'm still keeping a very close eye on medical insurance premiums and CTE out-of-district tuition.
Fuel oil is going through the roof with the war. How are you planning for that?
So we have a pretty good rate. So right now, we have a rate that's locked in through November, and we go at it again November. The last 2 fiscal years, with the same issues, it's been a crazy time in the last few years. But 2 years ago, our rate was 2.69 a gallon. This year was 2.75 a gallon. So based on data and research of that industry, it sounds like 5 to 10% is reasonable. So I did 10 cents as my projection to $2.85. It's kind of tough to tell because we would go out to bid in November, so we have quite a bit to go. And as you know, a lot could change. So based on current year and our rates and what we've seen as the average, comfortable today, but yes, there could be a problem in the future. You never know with utilities.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, continue, please.
All right, so based on that, if you want to just continue through your 7I packet this evening, the next few pages is, I just give you kind of a backup of the similar slides that you were used to seeing in the last 2 budget cycles, and last year when I first presented my first budget with Tiverton Public Schools. But this is really the FY27 preliminary appropriation request, again, for your review. The only change here, again, is just increase in CT for that student that we spoke about. The next page after that is kind of the line-by-line review again of the changes from the January 13th through the February 20th changes. And I laid out the UCOA data again over a 5-year fiscal cycle for your review with those changes incorporated. I'm assuming no questions, so I'll continue on. So the next memo in the draft is the costs and operational comparison of outside services provided through outside vendors. This was a request from the committee, and so we were just following up on this request. So Sarah, everyone's on this page?
Yeah, it's on page 10.
Page 10 of 7I.
You there? Okay.
All right, just give Jocelyn a second. Good, okay. So Sarah and I put this together. So this would be any way we could utilize current providers and hire in-house to save on cost. So I'm not going to go through the memo too much, but I will go to, the memo kind of explains each thing, each group. But if you go page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, page 6 is like, it's a summary graph. So this outlines each area of a vendor account that would be considered. So as you can see up top, there's an early childhood screener. This is just too low. It's a temporary early childhood screener, outside vendor. It's $4,500 budget, so obviously we wouldn't consider hiring someone for that position. The next line item is speech therapists. We have a vendor cost of $160,000. Everything depends really. It's tough to, based on the fiscal impact statement I'm providing here, or at least a summary, it's kind of tough to predict the savings based on if the employee is going to come in and have a medical and dental plan for an individual, have a medical and dental plan for a family, or not have a medical plan at all. So as you can see, most of the savings are generated with someone that would come in and not enroll in our medical and dental. They would have a buyback situation. So the savings that really occur are, I'm just going to skip down. You guys can go through it, or maybe you have already with the packet, but I'm going to skip down is the area of the PCA for Bristol County and the PCA for looking upwards. Those are jobs we actively look at each year. Unfortunately, those are jobs we just can't fill. So we are posting for those jobs annually, we just can't fill them. So those would be the jobs that, again, we would save the most dollars by providing, by hiring an in-house associate. But other than that, everything all depends on medical and where they stand through a buyback or if they roll in our medical premiums. And the other 3 that could be considered is speech therapist, occupational therapist, and physical therapist. I'll pause there. Any questions on the memo or the summary, or any other questions in particular?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go first.
For the speech therapist, it represents 1.2 FTEs. Is that a full-time person and a part-time? Like, is it 2 people that are
Would be full and part, right?
0.6?
Full and part.
It's one full-time at an elementary school and 2 days a week at the middle school.
Thank you.
Sarah, do you have a microphone? We have plenty of them.
Yeah, we go.
I know, but we have extras tonight.
That's okay.
Okay. No, you don't get away with it.
Get your own.
Thank you. My question's on the PCAs, the personal care attendants. Trying to understand where they would fall on the Council 94 contract. What positions would they be labeled as?
The teacher assistants.
Teacher assistants?
Yep.
The
So with the-
special
Yeah,
needs.
special ed teacher assistant. So with the new
assistants.
contract, we could, right, under the intensive rate, with the new contract, we hope, as you
Okay.
know, that we will not have to go out to vendors to fill those positions.
Okay, so that is a position, those are positions we're actively trying to bring in-house.
Yes.
Just if we can't, those are the costs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does speech, OT, and PT fall on the NEA contract? If we had them in-house?
Speech does.
Speech does, okay.
OT and PT do not.
If we were to hire them in-house, they would.
Yes.
If we were to hire in-house,
Yeah.
yes. OT and PT have historically been vendors. Prior to Bristol County Rehab, if you remember, it was East Bay Educational Collaborative. So for many, many years, OT and PT have not been part of the NEA contract. Speech and language therapists are, and we do hire some.
Yeah.
It's just that 1.2, we did not get anyone who was certified over the past several years.
Would it be correct to say, in the case of OT and PT, that perhaps it's more advantageous to continue hiring on a contracted basis because of the continuing ed requirements, because of licensing, oversight, et cetera?
Yes, I think this here that Brendan and I provided you indicates that that is advantageous to keep that as contracted.
Okay.
So we have an early childhood screener now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so someone's doing that. And speech therapy is coming from, what's the vendor name? The speech therapist.
One is Soliant, and the other is, oh gosh. I'll have to get back to you. No, not CBS. I'll get back to you on the other one.
And then OT is?
OT and
Bristol.
PT are Bristol County Rehab.
Okay. I do have a question. PT is also Bristol County Rehab?
PT is Bristol County Rehab.
Okay. I'm looking at the physical therapist. It says vendor cost $46,000. And that's for one FTE. That seems awful low.
No, 46 is the budgeted amount. So if we were to utilize one FTE, it wouldn't make sense to hire someone for that position. We only utilize 46,000 worth of services, so it doesn't make sense to hire someone, to your point. We couldn't hire someone.
It would be less than an
It-
FTE.
Yeah. The first step in NEA contracts like 49,000, so we would already be losing money. Yeah, yeah.
So it's really not one FTE then?
No, that's what's needed to provide the service. So the idea of the request was, what is the need to provide the service? So we would need one FTE to fill all the services needed here at Tiverton Public Schools. However, a vendor is doing it for less than we would hire someone. So
So
it makes
they're-
sense to stay with a vendor. in
They're
that
charging
case.
you $46,000 for this physical therapist?
They're not charging us, that's our budget amount based on the services that are appropriate for the schools. We're charging on an hourly basis. Yeah, so again, it's an estimated cost. It could go higher, it could go lower. That's just based on the current services and current utilization over the past few years.
And when are you going out to bid for that contract?
For speech or not speech, OT,
For
PT?
all of it, yeah.
So only OT, PT, and PCA with Bristol County. We already went out to bid, and Bristol County won the bid. So now we just have to put a contract together, and then that contract will come in front of you.
Now, you said they won the bid. Did anyone else bid?
Yes, excuse me, did anyone else? No, not this one. Nope, no one else bid. Sorry, we had quite a few questions on the bid process, but no one else bid.
So how do people know that we're going out to bid for something? If you were a therapy company, how would you know?
We publish it goes to bidnet.com, which is a nationwide, and it also goes to Providence Journal. So like I said, we had probably 5 inquiries, but only one bidder. Actual submittal, excuse me.
So when they inquire, what are they asking, like salary or?
Different questions, what's your caseload?
If you consider virtual and in
Yeah.
person, do you do physical therapy assistance as well as occupational therapy assistance? Would you consider that? Hours of the school day, if it includes extended school year, some of those questions.
Which we do use quotas, right?
We do.
Okay. Okay. That's it for me. Thanks.
Are there any other questions on this? Okay, moving on.
Ground maintenance. which is the athletic field maintenance, which is a half FTE. Now, I was looking at the account, and it said $60,000 for fiscal year '27.
Correct.
So is that in addition to the athletic field maintenance?
Nope, that's just what we pay that company to mow. The $60,000 has to do with other expenses in that account.
Okay, so you pay them $25,200
They
to mow.
were 22 and change, and I'm expecting, usually companies go up, so I'm budgeting for a little bit of an increase to 25. Yep, yep. But ground maintenance, just so you know, Kim, is, it could be buying lines for the athletic fields to line the fields. It could be buying plants for graduation, et cetera. It could be buying mulch for the school playgrounds. So ground maintenance budgets for all those various items.
Okay, so we've lost, well, they did away with 2 positions, custodial positions. It wouldn't make more sense to bring a custodian back? Because then you're getting 40 hours of work?
Yep. I would love to. I just don't think we have enough budget to bring someone back at 60 plus, depending on medical and pension, et cetera.
Starting on the first step, that would be 60 plus?
With everything put in, benefits and everything, yeah, if they take a medical plan, it's $28,000 just for a medical plan. A family medical plan, excuse me, but yeah.
Kim, are you saying, oh, wait, it's only a half FTE, is that what you're talking about, grounds?
Right, I was
Yeah.
saying just bite the bullet and get a custodian that would do something like that.
Yeah.
And then have the extra 20 hours to do like preventative maintenance or,
Yep.
you know, it would cut down on overtime.
Yeah, I would love it, it'd make my job easier. I think it would make the custodian's life easier. But I think we could say the same thing for kindergarten aides and data manager and full-time athletic director. You know, it's just my opinion, but I agree with you, but I don't know where else we would cut from to afford it.
Okay, that's all I have. For real.
So the next area, if we keep going again, staying with 7I, is I think the next area is maintenance. So this would be, again, the committee asked for a annual maintenance contract, and we were able to do that. Well, partially able to do that. So, excuse me, a lot of the companies we contacted did have a problem, again, as I've discussed in school committee meetings, also building committee meetings, is a lot of companies did have a problem with the limitation to the system because of Train's control system. So, and then further is a lot of the companies need to come in-house and inspect our equipment, and that's been hard to do the last few weeks, especially last week with the storm. However, this evening, I think I gave you a pretty good proposal to maybe make your decision, so I did provide it. So we just focused on Pawtucket and Ranger for now. And this, so again, this pricing does not include Tiverton Middle or Tiverton High School, as your memo says. And it came out to $13,400 per an elementary school for mechanical services. This would include a seasonal startup and inspection for both heating and cooling, so 2 visits annually, and an additional $4,000 per school for system analysis for the control system. This would include 2 visits annually. So if you're just looking at the annual cost just for, again, just the 2 elementary schools of Pawtucket and Ranger and not include Fort Barton, the transition program, it would be, excuse me, if I do include all 3 schools, Fort Barton, Ranger, and Pawtucket, it would be $17,400 per school or $52,000 just for those 3 schools. Again, we're waiting on a quote from NextGen, who is the who handles the control system at the high school and middle school. And again, it's tough to work off a structure where one company kind of controls their systems. But I would have to estimate, again, based on the pricing of the elementary Picasset Ranger for Barton schools, that we would be talking $80,000+, $70,000 to $80,000+ a year in a maintenance program based on the proposal that I added in your packet this evening from Train. Any questions?
So since this is the one I was pushing probably the most, let's talk about the 3 elementary buildings.
Yep.
Because that's the number you have
Yep.
so far. If we had contracted with Train to cover these services in this year, let's say, I won't even go back to previous years, this year, would these services have saved us from any events that we've experienced, especially, well, I guess Ranger, and we had issues at Picasset too, didn't we?
Yes. It would
Could
not-
that have gotten us to a point where those things were seen earlier, where they could have been addressed?
Most likely not. And I say that because definitely not, I can't remember the Picasset one, definitely not Ranger, because 2 reasons. This Train proposal is for mechanical and system. The problem at Ranger had to do with boilers, which is a totally different company and totally different service.
The Picasset issue was related to the
Oh,
control
high
panel.
heat, that's right,
Yeah.
that's right. So, I would have to revisit that, the Picasset issue. I do remember, I don't think the service would, have helped, if I remember correctly, but I'll just stick to Ranger, because that one's fresh in my head. As we discussed briefly in the building committee, but obviously, the public and the other committee members weren't there, but, that had to do with, various reasons with the oil tank and the boilers. So that would have not helped the situation that occurred at Ranger this year.
So at the end of the day, what is your recommendation to us?
My recommendation, and I'll ask Superintendent to chime in on his, but my recommendation would be to keep the budget as is, with the making sure that we are getting a actual service, cleaning and service inspection, which is kind of what a maintenance contract does. I just don't know why they charge you a little more than usual. It might be because the service is providing a whole day cost. Usually a service contract is providing a whole day cost, where a service call could do multiple buildings, so they're just providing for those 2 hours they're there, or whatever the case may be. Additionally, working with the staff to make sure they do their inspections as well. It could be taking out a filter and making sure it's cleaned and whatnot. So it's kind of, my idea is to do, kind of when you go to Burger King and you go in the bathroom and you see a nice check that, A. Smith cleaned the bathroom at 12:20, you know what I mean? So a nice little checklist is, I think, needed. The maintenance team honestly could do that today. I just think that would be my recommendation this evening.
And this would mean, I'm thinking, I can't help but think my own experiences, that, once a year I have the oil company come in.
Exactly.
They do the maintenance on my boiler, they clean it, they check it, they tell me if something needs to be fixed,
Yep.
and then I get charged for the visit plus any repairs. And that's what you're recommending we do, is that we have the professionals come in once a year
Yep.
to evaluate the condition of our systems.
Yeah, if you look at the money that we spent at Ranger so far, invoice-wise, it doesn't match the 17,000 per school. We probably spent less than that just at Ranger's issues, so that's my point. If you spend the same amount of money with as to your point, is if you bring someone in to look at your boiler every year, it's gonna be cheaper than the maintenance contract. Yeah. The systems itself is kind of a different story, because it would be easier. Right now, we're very limited on what contractors we can call. That's the other issue. And that's not gonna change unless we do a complete, system overhaul, which is thousands of dollars, capital
Not
requests,
high on the
nothing.
list.
Yeah, not in our budget, operating budget anyway, so, that's the other issue as well. We're limited to what vendors we can call to help, get us back up and running.
Although these controls are all computer-driven,
Correct.
so one could reasonably expect that we don't have the expertise in-house.
Correct. Yeah, we've been working on that. We've gotten some training, especially because we've had some movement within the custodial staff due to the closure of Fort Barton. We had some movement, so we've had companies come in and do some training. And Mr. Mendes himself just had a additional training 3 weeks ago by a company that came in. So we are doing some trainings to get our staff updated. And the problem with that is not that they're knowledgeable or haven't been updated, it's just when you do a computer software upgrade, things change, so then you need the training to get up to speed, you know?
So would that be an option too for like using the Ranger issue as an example? You know, let's say the service provider came in, looked at the system, made recommendations. Could they also offer training on what our preventative maintenance checklist should look like for that end of the HVAC world?
Yes, and we kind of do that. And I think honestly, I think the custodial staff learns when they do that as well. Like, for instance, using Ranger as an example is, there was 2 outside vendors there, same company, but 2 employees from the outside vendor. And they're doing different things, checking different things, they're talking to our staff. So our staff is learning, so to your point, absolutely, yeah.
Like just thinking back to the days when I was an operations manager, if I had a certain piece of equipment, I'd have that vendor come in, walk us through it. We would create a training for it, but it would be an annually required training. So we'd go through the materials, everybody would sign off. It would stay in their file as a,
Yep,
oh,
exactly.
we're gonna do this training initially and then annually as well.
Yep, absolutely, yep.
Okay, so it does say here on your memo that you'll be following up with the additional proposals as you receive them.
Yeah, and they could already been received. Mr. Mendes is out this week, but he was working on the next gen one. I did the train one, so when he returns, I will follow up on the next gen.
Okay. And we'll look forward to whatever information you can provide to us.
Okay.
I guess at this time, if the recommendation is just to up our budget to include annual inspections, is that the recommendation?
Yes.
Okay. And is that what you indicated in that summary you provided toward the top of the discussion?
In the memo?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The chart that you had, you were upping maintenance and repairs for HVAC by $10,000? Is
Correct.
that where that lands?
Correct, yes.
And then you also had maintenance and repairs for plumbing. Is that in the same?
Same idea, that would be for the supplies of the maintenance.
Okay.
If we need a new filter or part or whatever the case may be. Yes.
And so you are also subsequently reducing unemployment insurance?
Yes, as the committee discussed and I agreed, we kind of used the average, but right now, there's been no recommendations of any layoffs. That may change per the committee's feedback, but right now, we reduced it for just,
Okay.
we reduced that number based on the updated projection of no layoffs.
So it's really not tied into the HVAC maintenance thing?
No, that's employee benefits. Is it on?
Yeah, you're saying the unemployment insurance reduction reduced per school committee with increase to HVAC maintenance. It's more of a, that's the story, but they're not related.
No, not related at all. That was just per feedback from the school committee, correct?
Okay. Okay.
Yep. I think it was Ms. Palish that brought up the unemployment. And again, that was a change of $4,000, nothing
Right.
shattering.
What else do we have? Anything?
Trying to skip through here, sorry.
You had all the documents that came in from Train. Thank
Yep,
you
the
for
Train
filling our
documents.
inboxes.
There are a lot of pages. So, let me just,
I think those go up to, I know I went to, the final
I
page
think,
is page 65.
yep,
And this speaks to Kim's question earlier.
yep, and then we can go back to a few others, but,
Oh, there are others?
yeah, there's also on the agenda, it's not, might not be in this item, but there was, a discussion on Chromebook reductions in classroom enrollment and, out-of-district special ed placement.
Is it in this package?
It's not in 7I, it could be in another,
Okay.
yeah, another. So I was saying, we'll finish with 7I, and then there's a few more.
Let's finish with
Yeah,
7I.
Yep. Mr. Haskins, do you want to take this one?
Yes, so there are additional bullets under 7I after annual HVAC.
Before we go there, I'm sorry,
It's okay.
but there is the documentation, the last page of 7I
The in-district special ed.
is the in-district special ed proposal, which projects a net savings of $78,000. And that speaks to the program that Ms. Krager described. Is that correct?
Thank you, yes. I do have that bullet, but my pages may be in a different order than yours. I see that bullet here as being the second to last bullet in the agenda.
It is.
Okay,
Yeah, we kind of skipped around
All
with
right.
the backup detail.
I
that
did
is,
not see any Chromebook reduction documentation
there is none.
here. Okay. Nor did I see anything for classroom enrollment and consolidation.
That was what I provided this evening in one of the binder.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, so we'll,
That's what I was saying, we'll go to that next.
all right.
So projected cost and net savings for the establishment of a special education program at Tiverton High School. Is this the next item that we wish to review? Okay,
Well, because we had the memo.
that's great. Based on current enrollment and placement projections, we anticipate a reduction in the out-of-district placement costs totaling approximately $234,900. The estimated expenses to implement and operate the in-district program are $156,700. After accounting for program costs, the district projects a net savings of $78,200.
Okay. And that is built in already to the budget that was presented.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we get that itemized? Like broken out tuition, transportation?
We could break
Expenses
out
for OT,
total
PT.
tuition, and total transportation.
An educator, if you need a social worker or a psychologist?
So the two staff would be one special education teacher and one special education teacher assistant for a total of $156,000.
Okay. Now, what about job coaching, curriculum, if it's a life skills program? The appliances that were removed to go to the transition program?
It is not a life skills program. It is not a transition program. The college and career planning would be part of our program of studies that we're adding for special education. So the only program costs that we anticipate would be an additional
Educators.
teacher and teacher assistant.
Okay.
The total tuition here of $234,900 does not include transportation. And we would not be saving in transportation because we will still have a bus going that transports students to other locations within that region.
Gee, you would think it would be cheaper. You know, if they're,
Well, we don't pay per child.
no, I mean, like, the distance, they pay mileage, right?
We pay by the bus.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, where are we going next? We've spoken about the contracted services for related service providers. We've spoken about the annual maintenance contracts for HVACs. We have not yet spoken about Chromebook reductions or classroom enrollments and consolidations. Those remain. We have spoken about the in-district special ed program, and if there's anything else that anyone has brought up, which I'm not aware of anything new that's come up since our last meeting.
Yeah, there was one more thing that came up that was requested. It was out-of-district tuition placements. So I provided a high-level memo on this that I passed it out earlier. But before we get back to Chromebooks and classroom enrollment, I'll kick it over to Superintendent. But before that, I was just this is kind of just a high-level overview of, again, a request that came in from the committee. So we did show you the expenditures for out-of-district tuition for FY '26 and what's projected in FY '27. Some of those locations are serving small number of students, so the figures are presented in an aggregate to protect student confidentiality in accordance with, accordance with the family.
Education rights and privacy.
Thank you. Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. So if you guys want to just review that, and if there's any questions, I can take them now or in the future. Happy to answer those questions, or maybe Sarah.
I'm having a hard time finding it.
Oh, okay. Do you want, I'll just pass this. Yep. You can take my copy if you want.
Where was it?
It was in what we got tonight, that was all paper clips?
Yep, it was in the packet that was with the binders, yeah. You have it, Kim? You have it? Yeah, okay.
I got it.
Yep.
Yeah, if I take it apart now, it'll never get back together.
I do see there's one school listed here that I don't think anyone's going there anymore.
What school is that?
Cardinal Cushing Center?
We still have a expenditure there this year, FY '26.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So FY '26 was the expenditures detail for you, budget detail, and then the FY '27. Yeah.
Thank you.
Were you able to do the, for the CTE programs?
Hold on one second. I think I did. This goes back 2 weeks, so I apologize.
If I'm not mistaken, we have one line item there, right, that represents the CTEs, and the bulk of that would be Portsmouth?
Correct. Kim, refresh my memory. What was the question of CT?
The amount of students going to NACTAC,
Okay, hold on one second. I can
the
answer.
tuition,
I don't
and the
have a-
Met
Yep.
in Portsmouth.
I don't know where the memo went, but I can give you those answers. So currently, The Met has 17 students. Portsmouth has 44, and Newport has 22. That's 9th through 12th grade.
And do we have dollar amounts on that?
Yep. So we have, I'm just gonna go through all of them. We have 48,000 to Middletown with 3 students, 272,000 to the Met with 17 students, 19,000 to Barrington, 1 student. Again, Portsmouth was 45 at 712,000. And Newport is 336,000. Newport does have a full-time, part-time, so. So if you remember, we have a negotiated costs between the East Bay region, and anything outside of East Bay, we would have to pay the CTE rate that is provided by RIDE.
Could you tell us what the, I suppose I could get my calculator out, what's the per student for Portsmouth?
It's $16,000 per student in FY '26.
In FY '27?
The superintendents haven't got together to discuss that number yet, but it went up, it usually goes up about $500 each year.
We get a much lower rate for the Fall River students that come into our district, correct?
Correct.
When will that be looked at or renegotiated?
It's being looked at right now.
Okay.
I just don't know how far we can go because the reason Fall River is allowing this is because it just saves on their transportation costs. However, they're basically in-house, so I believe they're in-house. So we can't just, we're saving by allowing a certain street to come to Tiverton. We're also saving on the education aid as well because that's increasing your enrollment.
Yep.
So you got to kind of look at different aspects.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was there a charter school too?
There's an elementary charter school, Highlander. We have 1 child that goes there.
How much is the,
A little under 16,000, 15,923 for the year. And that's provided, that rate's provided by RIDE. Yep.
do we know what the per pupil cost is going to be?
For FY '27? Not yet.
Or even 26?
So what do you mean by per pupil? Like what would be in charge for CTE or?
No, just the overall, how much is it costing per pupil to educate?
Yep. I did, now that you say that, I did put that together. I just don't know where it is.
I know,
Why
I
you
asked for some stuff and
Why you
it
never
wasn't in
see it.
there, so.
Yeah, I have it. Now
Okay.
that you say that, I remember putting it together. So what I did, Kim, to answer your question, is I literally went onto the RIDE website and I took a screenshot of that information for you.
Oh, okay.
So, here it is.
Maybe it's in here somewhere.
I will provide a copy to the school committee, but that basically answers your question, and all the memos right here as well.
So that's not in here,
No.
any of the stuff, okay.
No, with the postponement and the snow last week, I apologize. I have it in my binder, but it didn't make it in your binder because that's my fault. I didn't provide it to Chris G to put it together.
Okay.
Yeah, if you remember, I think your request came in late Friday, right before the storm, so, so we're almost, so. I remember putting it together quickly on that 2 Fridays ago.
So now, what is included to get this amount,
What is it?
the per pupil cost?
What is it, sorry?
What, the per pupil cost, what is included in that? How do they come up with that number?
So from an education aid standpoint, there's various items that come up with that number. It's your, your, I don't know how deep you want to get into it, but there's a certain percentage for your enrollment, there's a certain percentage for your expenditures over the years, you know, there's various items. There's a big chart online that literally has column for column, but there's quite a few columns.
Oh, is that on the RIDE website?
Yeah,
It is.
absolutely. Yep, it goes
Yeah.
back all the way to FY
15?
FY 15, yes.
I'm just curious to.
Yep. Yeah, I think
If I
it's,
can
There's
add,
a lot of good data out there.
yep.
we included substantial detail related to that question in the budget packet. The tuition amount is a combination of local aid and state aid. There's a quadratic formula that identifies the amount of state aid. It includes a number of variables, including the number of students who qualify for free and reduced price meals, or I should say the percentage of students. For the state share, excuse me, and on the local share is calculated by the state based on the evaluation of properties in the town. The formula assumes the town's ability to fund education, and the total amount is reflected as a result,
To come up with the per pupil?
to come up with a per pupil aid.
I'll go look that up.
You'll notice in the paper that you just passed along to us, if you could possibly
Share it.
share it so that we can keep it for our files. But the one thing I noticed on there is that our per pupil costs have been rising year after year.
Correct.
And that is a direct result of the declines in enrollment.
Yep.
And if you look at the FY 23 to 24 number, I believe it was on there. Thank you. Yeah, 23 to 24, right? We went up from 22,000 to 25,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I can well imagine 24 to 25 was yet another jump.
Correct.
And this number, probably more than anything, justifies the decision we made at this time last year to cease operations as an elementary school at Fort Barton. The costs are just getting out of hand. We don't have, we can't, we're not, you know, I recently listened to a budget meeting for Little Compton, which is, I always find interesting, but they, you know, they recognize that they're a wealthy community,
Mm-hmm.
which pretty much, in their view, justifies their crazy per pupil costs, and the same can be said for Jamestown.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the same wealthy community that they are, and our per pupil costs have to be managed, unlike those wealthy communities. So I think, you know, sometimes decisions can be difficult. We made some very difficult decisions last year, laying off so many people. You know, all intents and purposes, closing an elementary school, even though we're still managing the building at this point and running a program out of it, it's no longer acting as an elementary school. And I think that, you know, we have to just continually keep our fingers on cost control and making sure that we're doing the very best we can with the appropriations we have. That's all we can do. But yeah, if we could get a copy of that.
Absolutely.
Do you want Kim to keep it, because she does paper? Or do you have it?
Just.
Saved anywhere?
Just in case, I'm gonna keep it, and
Okay.
I'm gonna provide it, I figure at the
Next week's
next
meeting.
meeting. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because I have the other request right here as well, Kim, so.
Okay. So is there anything we're going to discuss on the Chromebook reductions? You didn't give us anything on that?
Only to say that the school programs rely heavily on students having individual Chromebooks. In addition to daily classroom instruction, students take all of their assessments on the Chromebooks. That obviously includes state assessments only for grades 3 through 12, but 3 through 11, excuse me, but also tri-annually our benchmark assessments, which were all done online. I do not have any recommendation to reduce the Chromebook line item at this time.
How were assessments done before? Are you saying they don't do them anymore? Paper?
That's correct. The benchmark assessments that are done fall, winter, spring are all done online. Prior to students doing them online, I'm not sure. In my experience in another district, prior to students having Chromebooks, they were done pencil and paper.
So what if someone doesn't have computers? They have to get computers just so they can do their assessments?
I don't know of any district that uses pencil or paper either for the state. I know that there are no districts that use it for the state assessment any longer. But I'm not aware of any districts that use pencil and paper for the local benchmark assessments either.
Yeah, I've read so much about how it's just not good to be using a computer so much that, for younger kids. That it's,
I think that's a legitimate conversation for us to have. But I also feel that that falls under the definition of curriculum policy, right? One could say that if you made a wholesale change in how you're delivering curriculum, that is a change in curriculum policy, and that's something we could discuss. I don't think it's something we can just remove from a budget without understanding the full ramifications of the change to curriculum policy. That's just my opinion. Are you all set, Kip, for now?
yeah.
Okay. I do have one remaining question on the capital gaming revenue item. You have it set at 168.5, and that, from what I remember correctly, was for 2 pieces of curriculum. Was that what it was?
Correct, and the remaining was a very small portion of the Chromebooks.
Okay. I would like us to, well, no matter what we do right now, our votes, I intend for us to take a vote on the budget as a whole to send over to the town next week. It is still considered preliminary. And if I'm not mistaken, we have an opportunity, do we not, to change it for a final submission? Is that correct?
Correct, we have till March 19th to
For the
provide.
preliminary
For the preliminary, yes.
request.
Correct. Any additional requests we could provide.
And I don't have the calendar
Yep.
handy, but,
I think it's April 9th, I don't know the exact date, we'll just say April 19th for conversation's sake. It would go to the Budget Committee, which right now they don't have a quorum,
right,
excuse me, and then the Town Council would kind of do their budget cycle overview, and then it would have to be posted. So I would think you would have at least a month to make any changes
Okay.
at minimum.
and we've heard some hesitation on parts of some of the town council members to continue allowing us to leverage gaming money for the purchase of computers and/or curriculum. That it really is more of an operational cost and should be considered as such. I've always believed that to be the case, but I agreed to go along with prior votes because what it meant was saving jobs. I would like us to consider adding, and I will make that motion. Well, before I do that, Brendan. right now, according to the summary that you gave us tonight, our appropriation request is 3.6%. How much room, dollar-wise, would we have to go to 4?
Let's see.
And I'm not suggesting we do, I just need to know what the number is.
Yep. Give me one more second. Just making a mistake here. Hold on. 732,409. About 117,000.
So we couldn't put that 168.5 into the operating budget without cutting something else.
Correct. Correct.
And these are all needs.
Correct. Yeah, the majority of that 165 is 108,000 for mandated curriculum for middle school civics and high school science.
And how much of it is the Chromebooks?
165 minus 108, very little. 57 of 119,000 is our Chromebook budget. So 57, so you're talking 47.8% of the Chromebook purchase.
What would the dollar amount be?
57,000 for the Chromebooks.
Out of
Yeah.
the 168.5?
Yes, correct. Yep.
And so just to kick things off here, before we go there, I would like to make a motion to increase line item 54322, maintenance and repairs HVAC, from 20,000 to 30,000 to allow for annual inspections. And I would like to also, in the same vote, increase line item 54324, maintenance and repair plumbing, from 8,000 to 10,000 to allow for the materials necessary with those increases. So that's a grand total increase of $12,000 to the appropriation request.
I'll make the motion to approve those two line item increases.
Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Are there any questions, concerns from the board? Okay, all in favor? Okay, so we will add 12,000 to the appropriation request for those two line items. And of course, you have several other adjustments to line items, but that's already been reflected in your appropriation total, is that correct?
Correct, yep.
I'm kind of torn on the Chromebooks. Our students need them. And I,
Correct.
you know, if the town council doesn't want to continue to fund it through capital, then we will have to bring it into our budget,
Correct,
and it will be a request.
correct.
And it'll probably take priority over some other things.
Mhm.
So, are there any thoughts from either of you on how to proceed with that?
Is there anything else in our operating budget that could be considered capital to offset that difference?
So, not so much this upcoming year, because a lot of stuff has been, so what I consider capital is items that have a useful life over 12 months. So, Diane brings up a good point of Chromebooks are an annual operating expense, if you would, but it's buying new Chromebooks for children in first grade, fifth grade, ninth grade, plus a reserve for kids that break their computer. It needs to be shipped to Dell to be fixed. They need a computer during that time period. So even though it is an annual cost, it is new Chromebooks we're buying that are lasting 3 to 5 years, you know?
Just like we would be buying new textbooks.
Correct. That lasts 3 to 6 years, exactly. So outside of textbooks and Chromebooks, off the top of my head, I don't think we have much more.
No office equipment.
No, that's short change. Doesn't really, you know, we budgeted for about $5,000 to $10,000 in the special ed area. We could put that in. We did last year for items such as harnesses or computer equipment, et cetera. But that's.
But it doesn't reach the threshold
It
of
doesn't
capital.
reach the 57,000, exactly. Yeah. I'm just taking a look at Danny's technology budget, make sure I'm not missing anything. But as you know, a lot of the softwares we put into line items were over a 3-year period, so we've kind of.
But those are all recurring operation. I mean, that entire 168,000 is operational. We just can't afford it,
Correct.
so.
Well, that and the curriculum items are, you spend it now, you're good for 6 years, so there's no additional.
Same thing when you buy textbooks.
Correct, well, that's what that is, but
Yeah.
yes, agreed.
Again, we need to try to wean ourselves off this reliance
Yeah,
on
which we.
gaming funds for operational expenses.
Yeah, what you know, we've done 300,000 last 2 years. I've kind of cut it
Cut
in
it.
half, so I'm, you know, pretty good, but.
Well, and hopefully, with the results from fiscal '26,
Yep.
when all is said and done,
Yep.
we'll end up with a small fund balance
Correct.
to handle emergency situations, hopefully,
Mhm.
and perhaps get us closer to that point where we can afford our operational expenses to include curriculum and all hardware and software.
Yep.
E-finance,
E-finance is another one.
it's 32.
Tell me about it.
There's also a software listed in the technology budget for Amplify Science for the high school level.
Yep.
They don't make Amplify Science for the high school level. It's just for up to middle school. So it's $13,500. I don't know if you meant to put something else in there, or,
That would be a question for Danny. I didn't put that in there.
that could be
Maybe.
$13,500.
It's definitely a need. I just don't know if that's a typo. It might be middle school is what we're thinking.
It's already, yeah, he's accounted for middle school.
It says K through 8 above that. Where's the middle school one?
We have, ours says TMS and THS.
For Amplify?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
it's-
TMS is 47, high school is 13.
So what I'm looking at is Amplify is K through 8 for 47, and then the Amplify THS, which I think is TMS, is 13.9. I can get back to you on that, though.
Well, that would seem like a duplicate because, or is
Says
it?
K to 8.
Right.
The version I received from Danny in the budget sheet says K through 8, but I just need to
Yeah,
clarify
sure.
with him. Yeah. I can tell you, I'm gonna grab the invoices too. I know we're
Yeah.
spending that money, but I just have to clarify the description with him.
How about we check with the teachers and see if there's any of this that overlaps?
We can certainly check with the teachers. Could you provide some clarity in terms of what overlaps?
Just,
You talking software?
Yeah, if there's something that may, like if it's tracking reading, there might be two different softwares that are tracking reading, or I would like to see evidence-based decisions with technology. Is it working? How is our test scores? How is it helping our test scores? Is there something that we could do that would be better? Rather than just the same thing year after year, just, is this even working anymore?
Would have been a great question when he was presenting it.
Like wit and wisdom, well, this would be something that I would check with the teachers on.
So for
They're
example.
They're
yeah,
using the software.
The wit and wisdom, as an example, is required by the State Department of Education as one of a few different programs that are rated as high-quality instructional material. When we met with principals in November and December, they had met with their teachers to get their input on the budget request. We met with them, told them what we would be able to reasonably afford, what we wouldn't, went back to the teachers, but we certainly could ask principals to go back to the teachers for a third round, ask them for more detail on what is working, how it is helping our test scores, and if it is even working anymore. But our hands will be tied on a few of those items, specifically wit and wisdom, Eureka Math Squared, and Amplify Science, as those are the required instructional programs.
And a lot of the other software components or applications, if you remember last year and the year before, we did remove a lot of those per teacher input of the software programs that they weren't using as much, or we weren't getting some of that data that had a direct impact to test scores and student performance. So we did that a year or two ago as well. Really kind of took away some of those programs. So what we're left with are proven to be successful for our students. But again, we can go back and ask.
I think it's something that we should do every year, just see if it's working.
Do you have a motion of any type to make?
I guess just to make a motion to look at the technology. Budget.
Okay, is that your motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
What is the motion again,
What is your
please?
motion?
Oh, to look at the technology,
For,
the technology budget.
are you looking for us to revisit the presentation in its entirety? What is it specifically?
It's, I'm looking at this $119,000 every year for computers. And is that really necessary? I guess we have a computer at home that's like 7 years old. I don't know, is it really necessary to keep constantly replacing these computers?
I think middle schoolers and high schoolers carrying them back and forth makes it more prone to damage. I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
one of my kids had to get a loaner at some point.
Yeah, so a lot of these computers are, they're on a lifespan of 4 or 5 years, which is normal for any business operation, school district, et cetera. So we're in line with other districts. But as Jocelyn said, there's a lot of wear and tear. I admitted this the other day. Luckily, my daughter's computer didn't crash, but I was taking her bag out of my truck. It slipped out of my hand, hit the asphalt. Stuff unfortunately does happen. Luckily, her computer was still operating. She's now in 3rd grade. She's on her 2nd computer because her computer broke in first grade, a brand-new computer. So obviously that got sent out, it got fixed, it got replaced, but things like that happen as well. But they're being utilized not just at home, but in the school day as well.
I would like to clarify, too, the difference between a Chromebook and a computer. Director Andrade is correct. The lifespan of a Chromebook is about 3 years, actually. We extend that to about 6 years in Tiverton. So we intend to double the expected lifespan of the Chromebook. But the Chromebook technology it dates itself. They don't last as long as your home computer might, for a number of reasons. But one, it's a Chromebook, so it's a web-based device. It's very simplistic in its programming. It does not have the capabilities of a laptop computer. I'm looking at a laptop here. A Chromebook has less memory, and because it's web-based, holds less programming. So I think we do get value out of our Chromebooks in terms of the amount of time we keep them. And they do get a lot of wear and tear in the middle and high school levels. They go from class to class. They are prone to breakage for that reason. I do think there is opportunity to improve treatment of Chromebooks, especially at the middle school. But I do also recognize that this budget request is a significant reduction in the number of Chromebooks that we're seeking, which is based on a significant reduction last year. So over the past 2 years, the Tiverton budget request has substantially decreased the number of Chromebook requests.
'Cause last year it was 120 also.
We'd be happy to ask Director of Technology Andrade to come to the next school committee meeting and revisit his budgetary presentation.
And I can touch base on that, Kim, is the decline in enrollment, it would be less cost, but there's a tariff increase, so that's why the number's kind of staying where it is year over year. We were able to get Chromebooks earlier last year before the tariff increase of June 1st or July 1st, I forget. This year, we're keeping the number as is, even though we have a decline in enrollment. We do have tariff increases that we're experiencing for this upcoming fiscal year.
So what about insurance on these devices?
We send out insurance notices to parents. I enroll myself every year in an email. Principals usually put in their newsletter. That's where I see it anyway.
But they can always opt out.
You don't have to enroll at all. I just choose, I think it's $20, and I'd rather pay $20 than pay the school department, $500 for the Chromebook or whatever the cost is per unit.
Are parents really paying to replace the Chromebook, though?
They would be, based on policy, they would have to replace the Chromebook depending on the
On the
nature.
circumstance, yeah.
Yep.
Because I've seen kids that haven't turned in their chargers, and they didn't have to pay that.
Recently, past years, I can follow up with Mr. Andrade, Danny Andrade, but I'm not positive. Again, Superintendent, he could come to the next meeting and speak to it better than we can, but he does quite well with inventory take and count and all that good stuff, as he kind of spoke about during his presentation.
So are we still moving forward with the motion?
Are you looking for?
No, I'll withdraw that.
Are you looking for perhaps Mr.
Clarification?
Andrade to come to our meeting next week to look through the technology budget at this point, or what is it you'd like?
Well, I would like to the teachers have already weighed in on this, on the
They're part of
software.
the process.
They've already done that?
Correct.
Yes.
The whole budget process is weighed in by teachers, department heads, principals, the whole 9 yards, school improvement teams, et cetera. Yep.
Okay. No, just the question I have is on that Amplify Science, the high school
Yep.
version of Amplify Science.
Okay,
It's just clarification.
that'd be a good answer to get.
Yep, I'm actually curious myself and trying to research it as we speak.
Okay. Are there any other motions coming from the floor this evening? All right, so
Now,
here.
this is about cutting, this is like making cuts?
This is making line item adjustments to the proposed budget. Next week, my expectation is that we will vote on the final appropriation
Okay.
request.
Will there be opportunity next week if we hone in on a line item before we make that
Sure.
vote? Okay.
Sure. But I would, if there is any request for documentation, because next week's the end of the line,
Yeah,
that documentation be requested before our meeting packages get prepared.
Yep.
So it can't come in Friday, right? It's got to come in by next Wednesday. No, our meeting is next Tuesday. So really, if
Tomorrow.
if you are thinking of additional changes that come to mind, please get your request for documentation in tomorrow,
Yep.
so that it can be prepared for next week's agenda and package, so that we can all look from the same thing, because I'll tell you right now, if you're giving me something fresh at the table here next week and you want me to vote on it, I need time to digest.
Yep, and you bring up a good point. If we can get things by tomorrow, that gives us 2 days, and that's kind of what happened. A couple of those items came in late,
Yeah,
so.
unfortunately, we're having a real short turnaround this week. We don't normally have meetings 2 weeks in a row.
Absolutely.
so would it be in our best interest to reach out to our other members too, to also let them know?
I will do that.
Thank you.
And if you're making requests that don't need documentation,
Yes, of course.
then you wouldn't,
Unless it's
do we have
something,
to notify somebody of what we want to talk about, or it's
if you
just
have
if you need
something specific.
documentation?
If documentation is going to help bolster, yeah, sorry. So let me just, for example, how I'm thinking about this. If, and this is just hypothetical, I'm just going to pull up a line item. The line item is officials and referees. Again, hypothetical. Currently, the proposed budget is $31,499, I think, in here. Now, we have received backup, sorry, that substantiates that. So we have that backup, it's in our budget books. But if you were to say, oh, I want to take out officials for volleyball, and that's going to save us $2,000. So, be prepared to say, okay, it's in there listed as a stipend for the volleyball official, and it's $2,000. It's right there. It's already information we have. But for example, if you wanted to cut the telephone line, which is currently at $23,500, and you're going to say, no, I think telephones should only cost us $16,000. That's going to require some backup work and documentation by the administration to say, here's what we pay today. Are you going to recommend we cut lines? What's because that's the only way we're going to be able to cut the telephone budget. So, and I'm really just trying to call out the examples of why one would need to request documentation. If it's something we already have and it's in our book,
Okay.
fine. Yep. Okay. And then, Brendan, if you could, just thinking ahead to next week's meeting, be prepared to recalculate your appropriation requests on the fly, should we make those changes with votes,
Yes.
okay? This way you'll know what your percentages are and all of that.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep, I have it already, so I'll save those numbers as hard-coded, so it'll make it easier for plus and minus next time.
Yeah. I lived through it once in an
Yeah,
auditorium. You can
yeah.
do it here.
Yeah, plus a mouse with a big screen's a little easier.
All right. Are there any other questions for tonight? No? All right. Well, I think we made it to the end, and it's not midnight yet.
Madam Chair, I just want to give an update. The Tiverton girls basketball team beat Coventry 47-45 in a barn burner.
Tell me the
Congratulations
next
to the
game's
girls'
not next
team.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it should be shortly.
Okay,
That's great, congratulations.
yes, congrats.
Really, yeah.
I didn't hear any
awesome.
yelling and whooping. No, I'm looking forward to having them in to give them a prize when they win it all.
Yep.
Good for them. We do have, again, we're meeting again next Tuesday, March 10th, which is our regularly scheduled meeting. On here, we have March 3rd Policy Subcommittee. That's a typo. We're going to meet on the 10th. Are you okay with that? Prior to our meeting, 5:30?
5:30. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, good. All right, we'll plan on doing it that way. And that brings us to the end of the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
And all in favor? We're adjourned. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.